across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning, good morning. It is the weekend. The sun is shining, at least where I am. Look at that. What a vista of London. There's just a few fluffy little cotton wool clouds in the sky, and otherwise it might just be spring. Spring has sprung. The grass has riz. I wonder what the show is. Well, the show is going to be 3 hours of rip-roaring fun. And this is going to be my new little slot. So mark your diaries every Saturday and Sunday, and of course the Friday. It's just going to get progressively stranger over the course of 3 shows. It's going to be like a spectrum of from the serious to the banal, with everything in between. So Friday's going to be very newsy. We're picking up off the back of Mrs. Hartley Brewer, who does a fantastic job delivering the news and the views. And then Saturday, I kind of thought, when I thought this is what I'm going to do, split my life, London's at the weekend, I think we've got to get the news in, but you don't want to be just battered with information and battered with outrage. Kind of needs a bit of levity, a little brunchiness to it. You know, you need your bacon and your eggs and your sausage and maybe a hash brown, a bit of black pudding, some mushrooms. So that's what we're going to do. We're basically giving you the greasy spoon of news and entertainment. And then as for tomorrow, I mean, Lord knows what it's going to be like. So Chris, who's my weekend producer, honestly, I'm always talking about my producers. You can't keep up, can you? Is it Dean? Is it Ted? Is it Chris? But anyway, Chris is my weekend man. And I said, let's make things fun. So Weird Hour is now going to be on a Sunday. Paul Cox every single week in the studio. And, well, if you watched Weird Hour when we were doing 7 till 10 in the evening, it didn't really have a thing, did it? It was just weird. So that's back. And then tomorrow we've also got a comedian joining us for the first hour. And so I think it's just going to be a riot. It's going to be outrageous. I don't really know what's going to happen, but that is the fun of it, is it not? So there you go. There's a whole new feel to your weekend. There's a good reason to not go anywhere, to stay in those pyjamas, to keep the coffee pouring, to get the pot of tea on the boil, a little cosy on it so you don't have to keep getting out of bed. Pull those sheets up to the neck, plump up those pillows. And look, if you're going to have a snifter, I won't judge, okay? Well, I will a little bit. But there we go. So there is a lot to look forward to now going forward with your weekends, because I am going to be here to entertain you throughout both of them. And I'm pleased to say, look who's here.
Hello.
It's like the story arc is complete.
Say, we are
Peter
reunited.
Barnes.
We are reunited on a Saturday. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
With this place, it's like playing with musical chairs,
really
isn't it?
is.
It's like
It
being
really
part
is.
of like a children's party game, except you never win the present.
Yeah, it is literally like you get the packet part, you know, the present, and you're like,
the parcel.
I don't really want it, because then you
there's
kind
just
of
more layers underneath. There's more paper.
Yeah.
And then and, you know, you shake it every now and then to find out if there's something inside, and it just no. And then the music stops, and here we are. Back where we started.
Literally back where we started. Like it was what it would have been. When did we start doing it?
I mean, it's like I reckon it was about.
Because we didn't. It was
I reckon in talk years.
Oh, yeah.
Because talk years is a bit like dog years.
Yes, yeah,
do you know
definitely.
what I mean? I think 1 year in human years is probably 11.25 talk years.
Easily.
So I think it was probably 17.39 talk years that we were sitting here once before on a Saturday every weekend.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Chris, the things we put producers through here is not even funny.
The things our producers put us through.
That is very true.
Because everybody knows that Dean is like, you know, the main whistleblower cheerleader of the drinking club.
Yes.
Except Dean's got his vulnerabilities. Chris, however, he's like a sailor on leave.
Oh.
He's a dangerous one.
Oh.
Dean drinks pints of lager and might be able to put about 7 away. While Dean's having his pints of lager, Chris is having a 3-fingered rum and coke.
I see. I'm a spirits guy. I'm gin, rum, vodka, brandy, whiskey,
alcohol hand gel.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You know, you can suck it out of it.
The one that you can't play with though, because I'm happy to play with all of those. It's like, you know, fair weather friends.
Yeah.
But the one that you can't play with ever is whiskey.
That's literally that's a 7 o'clock and later drink.
The worst hangers I've ever had is when you've been out for dinner and you've had lots of wine, and then someone comes up with the idea of finishing off with a flammable.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I'll have a Lafroy. You go, yeah, I'll have a nice Armagnac or
because
something.
they always pick a Lafroy. They pick something that basically tastes like TCP.
Yeah, and it's like, at least 40% proof.
Yeah, definitely. You can't keep it near an open flame.
And then, because when it's in the glass, a single whiskey measure doesn't look like anything. It's like, did you actually put anything in there?
I was going to say,
and so it ends up being a three-fingered, and then that's when you wake up about 3 o'clock in the morning, like someone shot you between the eyes. Your mouth is as dry as Gandhi's flip-flop, and you're sort of like having thoughts of an early death.
Oh, yeah.
You're questioning your mortality.
Yeah.
But no, look, I didn't do that last night.
No.
I stayed at Samara's, and
oh, right. Okay.
just had a couple of glasses of wine, tucked up in bed nice and early. Yeah, sensible girl, our Samara.
Yeah, she is actually. Yeah, I was trying to be nice.
Yeah,
it didn't suit me. I have to admit. But
love her to the bones.
Yes, definitely.
We could do the whole show just gossiping and talk about hangovers, but we're not going to do that.
Talk amongst yourself.
Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, exactly. Who's that at the back passing notes? Read it aloud in front of the class.
Yeah.
No. We're going to talk about news because that word's written on the outside of the building.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Although on this programme, it's just the word talk. It doesn't say
anything, yeah.
Could be anything.
Just talk.
Right. So let us talk. Let us talk first of all about. Well, let's talk about the whole Mandelson thing because there's. I love a bit of war in a not a dark way.
Oh, same.
But a fascination way. I love it. I love it like top trumps. I want to know about the ballistics, how heavy they are, the range of missiles, the cost of them, the speed of aircraft.
I was reading literally about Team Scorpion just this morning.
We're going to get onto this.
We're going to get onto it.
Let's park our boyhood dreams. I've always been a woman. Just with curious tastes.
There you go.
Let's park those to one side. But because it has been very distracting. I mean, for both Trump and Starmer, this is where you've got to look at what's popping out around the edges when there's stuff like this going on. And certainly, Trump, there was like a release of stuff about Trump. And it was quite big stuff, and I can't remember what it was now. That's what's so ridiculous. It was big stuff about accusations of young women saying he had... Oh, that's right. Oh, no, it's a bit dark for a Saturday morning. But, doing adult activities and sort of potentially... under duress. Anyway, so that came out, which on any other sort of news cycle, that's the biggest story that's ever happened. And it's like, oh, well, let's blow some stuff up.
Literally.
But let's talk about Mandelson. Because, I mean, the focus now is on Sir Keir Starmer, isn't it? What did he know? Did he put it through? Da-da-da-da-da. At the very least, it's just been a bit shambolic and other people have made the decision. He's just gone, get it off my desk. But we don't know yet. They've only released about 1% of the materials.
It's 147 documents, and I've read all of them, if you must know.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
You absolute weirdo.
I'm a nerd. Leave me alone. This is literally why you have me in this building, because I'm the only one that read the thing.
Right, so okay, let's do this then. What do you read? What do you know? Because you're the only one in the country who's read them.
Literally.
Let's go. Let's get some exclusives.
The thing is, realistic, when you read all of these notes and everything that people have talked about, it was such a foregone conclusion that he was getting that job. Everybody understood that Mandelson was getting that job.
Was it sort of understood before the Labour even won the election, basically? That's what I figured. They were getting the network in, the stooges, 100%. The power players.
I always say, if Jonathan Powell is a sensible voice in the room, which he is on this particular issue, something is wrong.
So, do you know what? I was speaking to someone the other day who's basically sort of, the biggest eyebrow raises over Jonathan Powell and some of his past goings-on. But let's delve into... like normal human beings rather than, down the pub chat here.
Oh, right, okay,
Because that's going to be our tone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, what on earth is going on here? Because my read is this, knowing nothing, but when you just stand back, look at the macro, use Occam's razor. I like the fact that macro and Occam are like almost an anagram of each other.
I knew you were going to say that.
My cryptic crossword brain just calculated that
I could see
in
the
real
gears
time.
turning. I could see the gears turning.
I just saw it macro. It's got an R. Never mind.
Occam,
I shouldn't have even said that. It didn't even work. But anyway, what I think is, for a long time, the Labour Party, like all parties, have their behind-the-scenes network, and some of those names people don't even know. They're not people who get elected. It could be a network of donors, power brokers, advisors. But political parties have that network, and whatever happens on surface level, however the leadership changes, that thing stays at the bottom, that sort of matrix. And I think that, the matrix today, comes from Matrix Chambers. Hey! But it's the same network of barristers, largely, and Mandelson's always been connected to that matrix.
Yeah.
And I think we've got a Prime Minister who is just their choice, the front man, the sort of really feeble lead singer of the band, but basically isn't deciding anything.
I think you're right there, because I always go back to, do you remember what they used to call them, the Fab Four? It was Jeremy Corbyn, Diane Abbott, John McDonnell, and there was another one.
Fab Four.
Yeah, but they were the ones of the radical left of the Labour Party that they always, one of them went up for leadership at a time, and that's how Jeremy Corbyn ended up being Labour leader. It was his turn out of that little group, and then that's how he went up. Because I found out the other day that the only reason Keir Starmer ended up being a member of Parliament, he was supposed to be the Attorney General under Ed Miliband if he won the general election. So that's how he got kind of shufted in. And
because they all come out of the chambers. Let's talk about the chambers, because people at home, we sit on Matrix Chambers, boom, boom, ha.
Yeah.
But people might be like, what?
Yeah.
So let's bring them with us. Let's bring them with us. So basically, there have been two big barristers' chambers specialising in human rights that largely have produced a lot of the leadership of the Labour Party. You have Doughty Chambers, which was founded in part with Cherie Blair. And then you had a little bit later on the Matrix Chambers with offices in all of the hearts of the sort of international governance. So you've got Geneva, Brussels, London. Again, human rights being their speciality. But it's not human rights, is it? It's giving away the Chagos Islands. It's, defending terrorists against the state. It's getting people busted out of Guantanamo Bay. It's, it's basically all the wrong-uns that they seem to be defending.
They all just kind of met together.
Yeah, it's like the who's who of people who, the UK should actually hate. Who are the clients of these chambers against UK PLC all too often. And it's from this sort of network that you've got Philip Sands, who did the deal over Chagos, Richard Hermer, who was then made a lord to become Attorney General. Not even elected.
I know,
Relatively unprecedented. I think only once before has that happened, in the 1800s.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And they are the power brokers. And Mandelson is part of that clique.
Yeah.
And
he really is.
And weirdly, there's an Osborne connection flipping out to the side as well, isn't there? George Osborne and the Tories.
He's the grease that oils it all, for want of a much better phrase. As I was saying it, I was like, that's a terrible sentence. But he is the one that we're kind of moved between the legal world and the political and the consulting kind of business kind of stuff, because the thing you have to remember about Mandelson is he could have potentially been a pretty good ambassador because of his network, because he was basically everywhere. He was, somewhat of a bad smell. He could get where water couldn't, as my mother would say. Yeah. And I think that was his that could have been where he was really good. However, it's Mandelson, and every person in a Wetherspoons could tell you that guy was not fit to be the one to be the US ambassador.
Well, this is the thing. It's like when it was first sort of decided, I kind of thought to myself, well, maybe this is cunning, and it's going to be sort of a mutually assured destruction. You're connected to Epstein, I'm connected to Epstein, we're all connected to Epstein, so, we all know where the bodies are buried together, and therefore that will work. But I don't know. It's basically this wasn't an accident. It's not like we didn't do the proper. It was just like you said. He was anointed. He was chosen, as Starmer was. There's a lot more going on here, and I think if we were able to blow the doors off this, as Michael Caine would say. I think there's so much to come out.
Oh, I do. I really do, because the thing that Starmer's actually kind of unwillingly kind of wandered into is this is now a process story. There is structures now that they have to follow because of the police investigation. They can't just optics this away. They can't just play politics with it. There's so much that they have to do, and they can't. The committee that they're going up against will not allow them at all to hide anything, because they tried it and they basically said, don't even think about it. And they knocked him back pretty much within an hour of this letter.
Laurie Magnus, Magnus Laurie, whichever one it is. I never quite know which way around it. Laurie Magnus.
Laurie Magnus, yeah.
Because it could be Magnus Laurie.
Yeah.
It's got that first name thing.
Both kind of sound like a Bond villain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or a library in Oxford University. The Laurie Magnus Library. Yeah. But he is the ethics.
Yes, the ethics advisor in this government. I mean,
and people said, did he? Has Starmer lied to Parliament? And he's just said, I'm not touching it. I'm not interested. So if you're sitting there thinking, it's going to bring down Starmer, not quite yet.
No,
the May election results might, but not.
See, I don't think they will. Why would they?
Well, because there's a vacuum below him.
Yeah.
And also, you know, what are they going to do? Like, rush to get Richard Hermer a safe seat?
Well, the reality...
There are no safe seats.
There are no safe seats. But the thing is, though, there are so many things that should have brought this guy down, and he's still there.
Yeah.
And also, do you really think that they're going to put somebody like Miliband in, or somebody like Angela Rayner, or even West Streeting? There's no chance,
I've noticed Miliband's been in an oubliette lately. They've only just sort of let him out to play, but since the beginning of the war, it's like, please don't get Ed Miliband out talking about windmills. No, it's not the time, Ed.
Not now,
it's not the time.
Yeah, Ed, no.
Now, we're going to start something every Saturday.
Right.
Right? So,
I don't like you telling me this now.
in the Phillips household, when I say the Phillips household, I'm talking about my mum and my dad and me. Not that we live together. I'm 42. And that would be odd. That would be really
in
creepy.
This economy, don't rule
Well,
it
that's
out.
true. Right. But I have moved back to Gloucestershire, which means my parents are half an hour away. And so we've sort of revived a sort of family tradition, which is we always do the Times Saturday quiz.
Oh, right.
Or we just call it Olaf. Is that when we do an Olaf? So we do the Times Saturday quiz, and then what happens once we've done that, me, my mum and my dad's already done the cryptic crossword below it in his head without writing the answers in. And then it's passed to me to write, and then my dad will look over my shoulder like, if he thinks I'm getting an answer wrong.
Yeah.
He taught me the crypticking.
Yeah.
But we thought we'd do that here.
Oh, that's
and for every advert break, we would, it gets progressively harder.
Yeah.
But we would do a few questions from Olaf so you can test yourself at home. Oh, Tech-Off is on it!
Yes. Yeah.
Have we got the copyright on that?
I was gonna
Tech-Off?
say.
No? OK. that you just play it in rewind. It might be the devil's music, and then the BBC won't know it's theirs. Right.
They would know.
Are you ready at home? Now, please get your pens and paper out and keep your scores. And if you own the Times newspaper, don't look up the answers. Right. Question number 1. Which playwright does Mark Twain refer to as Shakespeare, spelled Shaxpur, as his risque story 1601? Which playwright does Mark Twain refer to as Shakespeare in his risque story 1601? Right. And second question before the break. Anglo-Romani is a dialect that combines Romani vocabulary with the grammatical system of which language? Right. If you fancy your chances at answering those questions, 03444991000 is the number to call. It's your normal network rate, so it doesn't really cost you anything. You can use that to send me a WhatsApp message as well, or leave me a voice note on WhatsApp. We love voice notes, especially at the weekend. So, you know, lay down your best vocals. 8722 is the number on text. Write the word talk before you write your message, and there you go. Answers on a postcard, please, and we will see you on the other side with those answers.
Do you think Donald Trump has a plan post-war?
A couple of weeks ago, when he started this off, he made a speech saying help would be on the way for the people. There was going to be regime change.
He appointed Mandelson against advice. We know this to be true. If this was a Conservative Prime Minister, the wider left would be absolutely screaming for his resignation.
Government's announced this afternoon, we're setting up a people's panel to work out exactly how you want us to roll out these digital IDs. We don't want them.
UK. On DAB+. On your smart speaker. On your smart TV. And on your side. This is Talk.
Hello. In the jeopardy of the weekend, I just ordered a breakfast to be delivered because some of us just haven't had breakfast because it's too busy making a show. There's a lot of making of the show before you come on air and do the show. So I ordered a breakfast hoping it would arrive before we go on air, but no, it arrives obviously just as you've gone on to air. And because I'm on air, I've not been able to look at the delivery. I left it in a bag outside London Bridge Station.
Literally just on a wall. It's the funniest thing ever.
There's a photograph going, here's your breakfast. And we're there like, it's almost like doing some sort of, I need like any 3 words or whatever that thing's called, to locate where the breakfast is. I'm just worried. Faith, the assistant producer's gone out to try and find the breakfast. I'm worried it'll be blown up outside the station like an unidentified mystery package, like baked beans and egg yolk, jumping into the morning air.
Oh my God.
Right.
Again, we're only 23 minutes in, people.
So, answers. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll just, see how well Pete scores every week and see if Pete can best himself. And you can do the same at home, of course. So, I think, like I said, it starts off easy and it gets harder. So, which playwrights does Mark Twain refer to as Shakespeare in his risque story 1601, Peter Barnes?
I suppose it was Shakespeare.
Of course it's Shakespeare. Who else would it be? And Anglo-Romani, that is odd. It sounds hot, but you just unpick it, and of course it's not. Anglo-Romani is a dialect that combines Romani vocabulary with the grammatical system of which language?
English.
Would it be Romani instead of Romani?
It's Romani.
Anglo-Romani. Yeah, Romani.
Romani. I think I went to school with her.
I think she works at the Matrix Chambers. It is, of course, English. The clue is in the word Anglo. So there you go. First two questions
my thing
done.
with those
Mark
kind
yourself.
of questions, they're very easy, so therefore you doubt yourself more than if it's really difficult.
Well, also, I had that moment. I couldn't be Clive Myrie actually doing a Mastermind because I hadn't looked at these questions. And sometimes when you have to read something live on air and it's got like multiple syllables, you just have that thing. You go, I'm going to not get this right. And then I didn't, did I? Because of course it's Anglo-Romani. And I said Romani repeatedly, and I don't know why. But there you go. Right, we will be giving you the next 2 questions ahead of the next advert break. And what are we going to talk about now? Well, let's talk about this Al-Quds march that is going to be happening. Well, it's not going to march, is it? Is the Al-Quds stand?
Yeah, my thing is, how are they getting to it? If it's a static protest, are they just going to appear?
Right, exactly. They're just going to sort of come out of the floor like river dance. Well, I don't know if that happens at river dance, but I feel like it should.
Leave Michael Flatley alone.
He's a king, Michael Flatley.
Yeah.
So Al-Quds Day, first of all, Al-Quds basically means Israel, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
But this isn't a pro-Israeli...
No. Far from it.
Talk to me about Al-Quds. Talk to me about the connection between one of the organisers, who's apparently got his link... Thank you, Chris, my darling. Cheers. Chris has just bought my tea, which I'd lost outside. That's not the same tea, Chris. I can tell this isn't the same tea because that's come out of the machine. It's got suspicious froth. That's not tea bag, hot water and milk. That's machine tea.
Wow.
Oh, it tastes of machine.
Yeah, I have to admit the tea is not great.
No, you have to actually use the tea bag. If you get tea out of a machine, it's a bit like those weird, in probably skinny little plastic cups you get in like hospital waiting rooms.
Yeah.
And then you go to the coffee machine and the plastic's melting in your hand. Like, thank goodness I'm in A&E because my fingers are about to be scalded.
Also, they're at a point, so you can't put it down.
Yes.
Yes, that annoys me. That annoys me no end. Yes.
So Al-Quds Day. So basically, the guy who is part of organising this march, which I think's been going on, or non-march, which I think's been going on every year. Apparently, it's like a regular family day out. Is actually a mate of the old Ayatollah, and was actually writing. Bits of like books under his guidance about Islamophobia. It all interconnects, you see. That Islamophobia thing, it ain't our idea.
No,
we're letting them tell us what we're allowed to do and not do. But it's now happening. It's being banned as a march.
Yeah.
The police said, look, if this is a march, it's going to be, disruption of public safety and all the rest. But they
didn't stop them for the last year, though, did it?
Because we're not actual Iran.
Yes.
Actually, that's the irony, isn't it? These people are in favour of Iran and they want to protest. I'm like, funnily enough, Iran's not a fan of protesting.
No, famously not a fan.
Famously not a fan. But 12,000 people are expected to join the Al-Quds Day demonstration, as well as there being 4 counter-protests, which are apparently going to be separated by the river. not to the sea.
You've been working on that one for a while, haven't you?
That literally was
Did it just
straight
come into
there. I saw from the river there, and obviously, it just follows now, doesn't it? Like a nursery rhyme. But basically, they want to make sure that the two sides don't come together.
Yeah.
And this is what Britain is now, isn't it?
Yep.
You've just got all of these people with their own agendas, their own cultures, their own religions, their own ideas about geopolitics, just marching and demonstrating and protesting and celebrating on our streets.
Yeah. And there is literally nothing we can do about it because they actually, there's no actual way to ban the march, to ban the event. There's not a law that does that. Everyone was very surprised about this, and I was like, I don't particularly want the government to have that particular power, if I'm being honest. The right to protest is very, very important. My thing with this is, don't ban it, put it on national TV. People need to see this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They need to see the hate.
Because this is the thing, where I now live is so insulated against this stuff. Like, you just don't, nothing like this would happen there. No one even would know this was going on unless you're sort of listening to talk, which I live in a very Liberal Democrat area, so I think only the odd neighbour tunes in. But when you live in London, you see these things happening and you get angry.
Yes.
Whereas when you live in other leafy, sort of protected parts of the country, like, refugees welcome.
Yeah.
It's like, really?
But no, this is my big thing. I was on with Ian on Thursday, and I said this, and he looked at me weirdly. I said, we live in this such kind of privileged little bubble where we think everybody is wonderful and everything's all going to be, rainbows and sunshine and, we can all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. No, it's not, because these people would probably chop off your hand if they had the chance. So the reality is we have to see the hate. We have to understand what on earth is this?
It looks like it's actually got police tape on it.
Does.
Actually, it says delicious epicness. I thought it said suspicious package. I'm going to open that later.
I'm trying to make a really profound point again.
Sorry, well, TikTok just walked. Faith managed to locate it. Well done, Faith.
Well done, Faith.
Just came in, proudly serving since '59 hungry Londoners. There you are.
There you go. Yeah.
But
so this is my thing: is it needs to happen because the country needs to see it. The country needs to see that this is what we've turned into, and it's the only way we'll ever actually, turn things around is if we confront what we've turned into.
But this is how ridiculous we are. How ridiculous we are. Because there's a charity which is funding the group behind this hate march, pro-Iranian hate march. Iran.
It has the funniest
name.
A
theocratic mental regime who are cracking down on their citizens, who kill all dissidents, who wiped out, massacred, estimated 30,000 people in the course of a few days for trying to stand up to that regime, who forced women to wear a hijab, they're basically just the devil incarnate.
Yeah, they are.
And the charity who funds the group that are for all of that and has organised this celebration is... in fact, it's a charity. It's under investigation.
Yes.
The name. I love it. This is always the inverted truth of the name. The Islamic Human Rights Commission.
Yeah.
We laugh, but it's just sick.
It's sick.
It is sick.
It is.
But they have been recognised by HMRC for gift aid, which means that you can, for every pound it receives in donations, the government, and when it's the government, that's us. Are giving 25p.
Yeah.
So a quarter of all of the money it makes is coming from the taxpayer. So we, you, me, Barnsley, Chris, Polo Bar London, Tech Op, Faith, everybody
is funding this.
Davis.
But the one...
everybody is funding.
Yeah.
And they have received in gift aid so far almost £500,000. And they're one of 4 charities with alleged Iranian links. So basically, people who go, well, the IRGC have got people everywhere. Yes.
And we're paying for it. Yeah. I mean, again, when people say that, why are we so concerned about Iran? The hate marches that we have, the control of the kind of the communities, the terror, this kind of sense of hatred is everywhere, and it's all funded by them. They have their tentacles everywhere, and what makes it worse is Britain just said, come on in.
Why are we the one country that's not prescribing the IRGC? Why?
I think that's a very good question, and I
have my own answer to that.
I'm not sure, if I'm being honest, because I thought that was very, very odd.
So I think is, because a lot of people don't know this, when the Hamas leadership were all in Doha, and it was, we hate Qatar because Hamas are there, they put them up in nice flats. It's like, so the Americans can keep eyes on.
Yes.
so they can watch where the money's coming and going. So there's American air bases, because Qatar base says, oh, here you go, have a palace. And meanwhile, the Americans over their binos, which helps when it comes to things going on today. And so I wonder if there's almost as though let the IRGC operate with what appears impunity in the UK and the UK intelligence agencies. I don't know.
I think that would make sense.
A positive spin.
I think that would actually make sense.
It would make sense, but probably because it's the UK, that probably isn't what's going on.
I actually think the other reason we don't do it is a lot of members of the IRGC own a lot of property in places like Kensington.
The new Ayatollah's son basically owns half of West London.
Exactly, and I think that is probably the reason why we haven't prescribed them. I think to look at it as a more kind of jaded way, I think it's because we would like their money. It's why so much dirty Russian money has been sloshing around London for decades.
Basically, I mean, all the millionaires have left London, and all the sort of oligarchs and the Islamists. So it's like, no one, all these empty houses now.
I know.
No one can sell them. Right, time for your next two Olaf questions, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that music, Dave. Unexpected, but I like it. Am I supposed to? It's that bullseye, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So I try and get a bullseye right down the camera with the biro. I might get in trouble for that. Right. Rotary, hover, ride-on, hand push, and robotic are types of which grass-cutting machine? I mean, basically, you could just say, what is the name of a grass-cutting machine, couldn't you, for that question? But anyway, rotary, hover, ride-on, hand push, and robotic are types of which grass-cutting machine? And question number 4. Sparks is which British high street retailer's customer loyalty scheme? There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Sparks, the Sparks card belongs to which shopping chain? Write down your answers, and we will give them to you just after this break.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. Breakfast has been delivered. It's incredibly posh. I mean, look at this. They ain't messing around in London. Look at that. Way.
The smell is amazing.
But I have no cutlery. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to deal with that.
Yeah.
It's just getting colder by the minute. It's going to be like ossified in about an hour's time. Right, answers to those questions before the break. Rotary, hover, ride-on, hand push and robotic are types of what grass cutting machine?
Lawnmower.
Well, let's check. Of course it is.
Do you know there's a lawnmower museum in Southport?
No.
Yes, there is.
Have you been?
I have. I grew up not far away from it, so yeah. And it's one of those weird places, so therefore you have to go.
I like weird museums.
Yeah.
In fact, do you know a weird museum in your area?
I knew that.
I want to know.
Yeah.
Our tech-up is literally excited. Chris is excited. As soon as it came like regional weird museums, like their eyes lit up behind the glass
they
of the gallery.
They have celebrity ones. Lawnmowers owned by celebrities.
Right, we want lawnmowers owned by celebrities.
And they
Who's
donated them. I think, if I remember right, I think Cliff Richards was there.
Cliff Richards lawnmower?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I was a kid when I last went, but yeah.
Oh, my, we got to go.
Yeah,
so I've got to go see the robots of Milton Keynes.
Yeah, the robots of Milton Keynes.
And the lawnmowers of Southport.
Yeah,
my goodness. The what museum? Brum. Oh, with the car Brum. That little car thing.
Yeah, the TV show.
Oh, that car was cute.
Yeah,
The Brum
yeah.
Museum. Stratford-upon-Avon, did you say?
Why?
Oh, no, so basically, Stratford-upon-Avon, you've got Shakespeare and then Brum. It's like James Bond and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, both by Ian Fleming.
Yeah.
So there you go. That was, of course, Lawnmower. And Sparks is the loyalty card of which shop?
Marks and
Marks and Spencer's. Now, don't rest on your laurels here. This is the Time Saturday quiz. And like I said, it gets weird. It gets hard later. You sort of going like, oh my gosh, the Times has dumbed down.
Yeah.
So when you get to question 20, you're basically just, marching yourself off the edge of a cliff. But we will continue with Olaf a bit later. Now, I think we should treat ourselves, Pete. Let's treat ourselves to what's going on in the war.
Yes. It sounds so terrible that, when these things happen, but I'm like, we've something to talk about.
Well, listen, here's my opinion on this. So first of all, I'm fed up with, he hasn't got a plan.
Oh,
this
that
Trump
is the-
derangement
Yeah.
syndrome.
Orange man bad. If you come out with that, I'm
Also,
just going to walk away from
if
you.
you've just got a plan, you're rubbish. There's going to have to be 85,000 different plans with all the permutations of what can happen. Iran has been the biggest foe of the West for ages. Israel's got all the intelligence on that place, has been doing for ages. I mean, this all started with Trump 1.0, taking out the head of the IRGC, signing the Abraham Accords, pulling out of the JCPOA, the bunker buster bomb, which tried to take out the nuclear facilities. Of course there's a plan. There will be lots of different plans. They want regime change. This much, I think, is absolutely abundantly clear. And from my understanding, all these people, it's not going to happen, is it? Oh, they're going to have to be in there forever. The regime is collapsing.
Yes, it is.
They've taken out everybody. Even the Ayatollah's son is apparently,
Do you not find it funny that he's now legless?
Poor man. Yeah, he is.
Oh, poor man.
And everyone's like, well, is it true? Well, no one's seen him. He's made no videos, so I think it's fair to say that he's not in good shape.
Yes. Yeah.
It's all breaking up from the inside. You've now got people in the IRGC killing each other.
Yes, well, I think they were predicting that a lot of that would happen because the reality is the Iranian regime was very much like the kind of the Kremlin in terms of it's rotten from the core. So what they were supposed to be spending money on, they didn't spend the money on it. It went into their bank accounts. It was all kind of it's all crumbled, and it's crumbled very quickly. And you're so right on this kind of orange man bad. It is not, he's a psychopath, all this kind of stuff. It's not. It is meticulous.
It's poetry.
Yes.
It's poetry. I'm just writing a Substack on this, and I keep going to publish it, and then something else really cool happens, and I've got to add that in. So now what we've got. If we're going to sort of look at the chronology of what we've done so far, we haven't done anything to try and get in our own way, get in their way. But American Israel came in and started the bombardment, which killed most of the leadership of the IRGC because they were all in one place at one time. The only guy who wasn't there was a general who is never there when these things happen, so he's clearly the mole.
Yes, clearly.
But boom, took them all out in one fell swoop. Genius. Then they start going after the missile launchers, because the missile launchers were, around Iran would be, shooting up to prevent planes getting into the airspace, rockets getting in. So they have to take those out, and the only way you can do that really is surface-to-air missiles with a big price tag. Yeah. Because being defensive missile launchers, if you fly in, kaboom. So they took those out, about 90%, if not all of them.
Pretty much in an afternoon.
Yeah.
So this idea, no plan, they did it in an afternoon.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
So they've done that.
Yeah.
Then at the same time, they've gone after the naval fleet and basically destroyed all of it. And Iran's like, right, watch what we're going to do in the Straits of Hormuz. We're going to lay down mines. Oh, no. You broke those ships as well. Great. Yeah. So that's where we've got to. And then this is why. So I live near Fairford. I love my planes.
Oh, yeah. You'll have a great view at the minute of everything coming and going.
I don't mind being woken up at 2 in the morning. It's like, the windows are shaking as the B-52's going over. So the B-52s, the B ones, they're the ones with the flames coming out the back, the wings that swoop back.
They're the ones you want
go
sort of
Mach 1. Whereas the B, they're just amazing. They're quite old now, to be honest.
I think they are actually.
But they're sort of they still look space age. And I love the fire, like literal. So that did all the sort of preliminary striking bases, but it costs a fair bit of money. Yeah. But it gets in and out quickly. Then comes in the Stratofortress. So we started off with four B1s. And then I think that's gone up to 12. Now we've got 6 stratofortresses at Fairford, and I think we're about to get the B2s. Whoop, whoop. They carry the bunker buster bomb. Look, the B2, the B2s are the best. They're those the flying wing, the thing that just looks like a sort of supersonic frisbee.
Yeah, definitely.
So cool. So B-52s are now in play, and those are big beasts.
Oh, yeah.
The Stratofortress.
Yeah.
But the great thing about the B-52 is you can shove a load of payload in, a load of kinetic, and it just sort of flies over. Now the defensive missiles can't take it out. In it comes, opens up the bomb deck.
Yeah.
Loads of stuff can come out of that thing. And this is what they're now doing to smack oil facilities, all the things that Iran's reaching for, and it's like, oh, sorry, we've taken that toy away from you.
But they're going to try and like nick something off of like a food shelf or something. Like, nope,
can't have that anymore.
Can't have that.
I'm going to reach for that weapon. No, it's gone.
Because the thing that I think has been most fascinating is this idea that we had for a long time that Iran could summon all these proxies, could cause so much terror, it collapsed.
And this is the thing, as I said, the chronology, the poetry, Hezbollah already wiped out by the walkie-talkies and the phones blowing up. Again,
it's still the greatest thing ever.
But also the fact that Israel, over the course of years, has infiltrated all the traffic cameras of Tehran.
I still think that's amazing.
Of Iran, so it knows where everyone is at all times.
Yeah, there's also a rumour going around, actually, that Mossad infiltrated Iran to such a degree that they were the ones that advised them to start going after Qatar and Dubai and places like that.
Oh,
I mean, if that is true...
That probably is true, because now what you've got is that all of the Gulf, whereas normally it'd be like, Islam against the West, it's the Iran going, we hate the West, and all the Muslim states around going, yeah, but we hate you.
Yes, yeah.
We're with the West
and
on
that is why comparisons to Iraq are the dumbest thing you can do. Dumbest thing.
But it's absolutely genius. So now what we've got is Karg Island.
Again... Bond villain territory.
Karg Island. The B2. Sorry, I'm just looking at another screen there, and I can see the flying wing. It's in. It's coming. John Root.
Karg sounds like a Klingon from Star Trek.
It does. So Karg Island used to be famous for pearl fishing. It's when you've got the Strait of Hormuz, the top little peninsula is Qatar. Where it narrows to 8 miles, there's an island just off the south tip called Karg Island, and once upon a time famous for pearl what was I looking for? Pearl...
Sifting?
Pearl shipping, or I don't know what I'm looking for here. Getting of the pearls.
Yes.
The getting of the pearls used to happen there, but now it's the getting of the black pearls, the oil. 90% of oil reserves, the shipping and movement of the oil, comes from Karg Island. When you look at an aerial map of it, because of course I did, because I'm weird, you can actually see there's basically the boulevard of oil, a hospital, an air base, and then oil stuff, beach. Probably not where you go sunbathing. No. So what America's done is it's gone in and it's taken Karg Island, and now it's basically saying to the regime, you've got nothing. You've got no oil. It's the golden goose. All of their money and revenue had to come from that place, and now America's got it, and it's like, well, what are you going to do now then?
Exactly. Because the other big thing is also China have not turned up, and Russia have basically sent a very nice note when the Ayatollah died, and that's about it. This kind of Axis powers, or whatever you want to call them, that disintegrated quicker than a cheap flan. It literally folded. It was amazing just how much they were like, we want nothing to do with this. Because I've long suspected that actually China has wanted rid of the likes of North Korea and Iran because they're too erratic. They're causing mental chaos in the market, and the Chinese economy is clinging on for dear life.
Although they can't, exactly. They can't get their Iranian oil now, going to be made worse by the Karg Island thing. A lot of this is breaking up the anti-Western axis.
Well, a lot of it is to contain China.
So now, basically, Karg Island, the Americans are now sending in amphibious vehicles, Marines, 5,000 of them. Now, it's expected they will basically take over Karg Island with ground force. But 50 of these, I believe, are going to be special ops who are going to go into Isfahan, because the problem what they've got now is when they took out Isfahan, which was the nuclear uranium enrichment site, they basically smashed it all up. But it's believed there are about 8 scuba tank vats worth of 60% enriched in uranium, which could
49 kilograms worth. It is.
Look at you. We're like top trumps in here.
We're
so good. But basically, in about a week, that stuff could be weapons grade. Which, if some nutter in the IRGC gets onto that, so they've got to get that stuff out. And this is when people are, it's an illegal war. No, even the UN says it's there, you absolute
Well, it's actually
boneheads.
the IAEA lost what they call, is it a chain of continuity. So in other words, they had no access to it. They
Right.
didn't know where it was. They completely lost it.
Now,
So
this
that is a problem.
This is the thing. That is underground, but I
Yeah.
believe it's at 375 metres below ground. The bunker buster bomb, to go and smash up those supplies, only penetrates to 250 metres. And so this is where the B-2s will come in, because they're the bunker buster bomb
Yeah.
vehicles.
How many times have you said
I
that?
love it. I just love saying bunker buster bomb.
I know you
just love,
do.
I actually want a T-shirt
Yeah.
that says bunker buster bomb. But it's this is the problem. This is where they're going to have to send in and apparently they've been training.
Yeah.
Even the bunker buster bomb was designed for this purpose.
Yes, it
There's
was,
no
yeah.
plan. That thing's been in production, like, you know, the prototype and then the creation of it for this exact purpose. And specific troops have been trained to go underground in narrow tunnels. It'll be pitch black. They'll have to be breathing recycled air, moving only by touch, holding one another's shoulders to go in to get that material. It's like the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It really is.
Once you've got that material and Iran can't get it, that was the cause of this whole thing.
Oh, the whole thing.
So that is the next step, people.
Yeah. So when people say, "Oh, how has he won?" He's just won.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
is the plan?
That's the
Well,
plan.
Barnesy and I will tell you.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's this idea of, well, what's he going to do? It's destabilising the region. You think it was stable in the first place? I mean,
Oh, gosh.
well, it's just
but
nonsense.
the regime will fall.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
even the creation, the sort of promotion of Reza Pahlavi's been going on for years.
Yeah.
It's not like the people of Iran suddenly went about this guy exiled in 1973. Let's bring him back.
Yeah.
That's been a psyop seeded by the CIA. Well, that was nice, wasn't it? Bunker buster bomb and a psyop seeded by the CIA.
Wow. Well
I
done.
know.
Yeah.
It's
But
like Peter Pepper picked a pickled pepper.
Yeah. The one I always find quite interesting, really, is the one thing that really did spark a lot of this was the fact that Iran was in a massive financial crisis, and it was the people that were saying, "Stop building the nuclear stuff because we need, you know." Education, we need schools, we need all this stuff. And so it's actually, it's when the currency started to get, I think it was like $1 to 1.6, whatever the currency is. That was the tipping point. That's when people came out onto the streets. That's when people said, we don't really care about you
All these things are
anymore."
strategized and put together like a mosaic of brilliance.
Yes, it
now
really
we've got we're running a bit late, so we've got to get through our next two Olaf questions. Here we go. New music every time, I love it. Iron Maiden's 1984 song, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, is based on a work by which lake poet? The Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Iron Maiden's 1984 song. I don't know Iron Maiden had covered that particular poem. And, on the subject of museums, a museum dedicated to which US motorcycle company opened in Milwaukee in 2008? OK, write down your answers and we'll give you what they are just after this. And if you want to give us a call, 03444991000 is the number to do that. It's your normal network rate. You can use that number as well to send me a WhatsApp or leave me a voice note on WhatsApp. 8722 is the number if you'd like to send a text message. Write the word talk before you text. Answers coming up just after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
All right, it is time for answers. See, they are getting a little bit more difficult, are they not? So Iron Maiden's 1984 song, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, is based on a poem by whom?
Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
Very well done.
Thank you.
See, I studied the Romantic poets when I was at university, so
get
that
all the
one
friends
I knew. I know. And what is the motorcycle with
Harley
the music?
Davidson.
Of course it is. It is the Harley Davidson. How well are you doing at home? Have you got 6 out of 6 yet? I hope so. Because I know you're all very intelligent, but if anyone could get 20 out of 20, you have to phone me up. Because my family's never done it. Working as a team, we've never done it. So if you manage to get 20 out of 20, I want you on the blower. We want to know who you are. We're going to actually bring you in to be our resident egghead.
Yeah.
You can just sit there, a bit like that really tall guy with the bins used to do in that other quiz show, and he's now got books and everyone loves him. Richard Osman.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he started off as just some clever person sitting in a corner, didn't he?
He was the main guy behind Big Brother. He was the financier. He did a lot of reality TV shows, if I remember rightly.
Oh, really? See, our dream, Chris and my dream, is to get actual Olaf Bjortont, who I believe is an egghead on that quiz show. But he's the one who writes a quiz, and of course it's the Times Saturday quiz. And where is the Times?
Upstairs.
Hold on. Hello.
Yeah.
There they are.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's downstairs, isn't it? Yeah.
So we do some messages, because we've been a bit remiss on engaging with our audience.
Other people are listening.
I know, it's just basically, this is just going to continue with a pint after, isn't it? Alex, you are my twin, I think. I hope you're good looking. I'm obsessed with military aircraft and used to live next to the RAF Museum. Where is the RAF Museum? This is not geolocated. It was heaven for me. Strangely, I am moving, and near an RAF base would suit me perfectly. This is the sort of sick way my brain works. I'm like, oh, I want to live near an RAF.
You don't want to live near good schools, good hospital, RAF base.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. And even better, so I've got eyes on the ground at Fairford, and my mate Jen messaged me going like, they're in the pub. Lots of mullets and moustaches and marms, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. See, you'd really like my brother-in-law. He works for BAE, and his job is literally putting bombs on planes.
Oh.
I know, yeah. It's the coolest job ever.
It's too. Where's the RAF Museum? Edgware? Okay.
Actually, I think I knew
there's
that.
various, you've got Duxford, you know, there's lots of sort of various RAF-ish museums. Right. Hi, Alex. Glad to hear you're keeping up with Weird Hour with Paul Cox. Oh, yeah. I believe Brum is actually in the Cotswold Motoring Museum, so
I'd like to apologise.
not in Stratford-upon-Avon, as Chris was pretending, which is closer to your neck of the woods. Bourton-on-the-Water, says Jules in Bristol. Now, I know Bourton-on-the-Water very well. It's probably the slowest place to walk on Earth. It's so filled with tourists.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, have you never been to Windermere in the Lake District?
No.
You cannot move for Chinese tourists.
Oh, so in the Cotswolds, when you go around some of the villages, because I'm not far from Bybury either, which is like 10,000 people roll up every minute, basically, they've actually got the signs in English and underneath Japanese because of all the Japanese tourists.
Yeah, there's in Windermere, and I think it's in Grasmere as well, which is in the Lake District way. It's like two of the biggest Chinese restaurants in the northwest of England.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Who knew?
Because of, people go to see the green and pleasant hills and all that kind of stuff, because it is absolutely stunning.
And read their Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, they'd read, was it Daffodils? Who wrote that?
Wordsworth.
Yeah, that's where he's buried.
He wanted to build a pan-Socratic society up in the Lake District. Anyway.
There's not much to do there, to be fair.
I know. What are you doing in your spare time? Well, I'm just building a pan-Socratic society, whatever that is. Good morning, Alex. People with derangement syndrome really worry me. Of course there's a plan, and if the war was going so well for Iran, they'd be showing on TV instead of making AI videos. I'm concerned about journalists in the West trying to put us down all the time, says Trevor in Harrow. Exactly. What is so crazy is when you look at all of this stuff and you go, well, who's getting in the way of America? It's actually Canada, the UK, France. Well, France are doing better.
Actually, and Germany as well.
But there's not a war that Macron wouldn't want to turn up to.
I mean,
he
was so desperate to be Trump's bestie when Trump won, and I have to admit, it was a bit embarrassing, actually.
Yeah, back
Did
then,
he call him Daddy in a text message as well?
No, that was Mark Rutte, NATO Secretary General, who calls him Daddy.
That's so funny.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
But Macron, at one point, when Trump first came in, Macron just couldn't leave him alone.
Yeah.
If you thought that Starmer mitted him up when Starmer first got in, you should have seen the poor housing that Macron gave him. In fact, I actually had someone make me a T-shirt, this is years ago, when I was in the European Parliament, saying MacDonald because of Macron and Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I could get 20 out of 20 easy, but I don't want to boast about how clever I am. From John. The thing is, John sent that in a text message, all in capital letters. So I'm kind of doubting his abilities. Because he doesn't seem to be able to find out how to to do lowercase on text message. We have a pencil museum in Keswick.
Yes, I do that.
I take your lawnmower museum in Southport and I raise you, says Jason in the Lake District.
I've been to Keswick. It's where they have the horse racing. Have you been to the pencil museum? I don't know. I've not, no. But I have heard of it. They have a big horse racing thing there.
I think it'd be a nice little feature if we went around
Just
the
go
sort of
all
weird
these
museums
random
of the world.
museums.
Someone else said there's a pencil museum in Keswick. Pencil in capital letters. That pencil museum is very popular, it seems. In Sunderland, we have an aircraft museum next to Nissan with a Vulcan bomber. Boom! I love it. Great show, says Scott. The Vulcan. Last night, I was at Samara's house, because I took Samara to Fairford to look at the B1s. And she's hooked now.
Yes.
She's got into it. And she's like, so last night I was showing her videos of the air show, and I started showing her, like, videos of the Vulcan bomber. Had to put the volume up, because I was like, the Rolls-Royce engine, the howl. And she's, like, getting well into it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, I haven't been to an air show in a very long time, and I'm always like, I'd love to go to one, but they don't really do them anymore, really.
They do at Fairford. This is why this wall's this is why we need a plan, because I've already got my tickets for this.
It's why you moved there.
Do you want to come with me?
Yes, of
I'll
course.
bring you. I'll go around my house afterwards. I absolutely love you and Peter together. You're like a double act. Peter's laugh is so infectious. I could listen to him all day. It's a joy to be part of Alex's show. I love it. 1 minute, says Teko. We better squeeze in 2 more questions. Wow. Right, here we go. Question number 7. Cherry Island, or Eilean, I can't even say that, Murick is the only island on which Scottish loch? Cherry Island, the only island on which Scottish loch? And which future monarch was played by Sarah Gadon in the 2015 film A Royal Night Out? I'm not doing good on my pronunciations here. Future monarch played by Sarah Gadon. Thank you. In the 2015 film A Royal Night Out, and Cherry Island is the only island on which Scottish loch? The answers will be coming up after this advert break. That is our first hour done and dusted, but don't go anywhere, because there's 2 more hours of Lord knows what still to come, and we can't wait to keep you company. Go top up the cafetiere or the teapot, and we'll see you just on the other side of these short commercial breaks with the answers to the quiz.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and welcome back. We're having too much fun. In fact, Chris just came in to escort Peter Barnes out of the studio because he's booked for just 1 hour. And I was like, where's he going? Why are you taking him away? and I said, can he stay? And Chris looked at Peter and can you stay? And I looked at Peter and he's like, well, you got to stay now.
I got to stay,
We didn't think this through. You've only done 7 questions in the quiz.
Yeah. I'm also the furthest away from the door, and I don't think I would have made it to the door.
So it's like, you're not going anywhere. You stay.
Yeah.
Anyway, about our quiz, about Olaf's quiz, I'm afraid I still can't pronounce this. I don't know how to pronounce stuff in Gaelic and Celtic and rewind languages.
Yeah.
You know, they use our letters, but they don't know how to do it properly.
You struggled with Romani earlier, so...
I struggle with a lot in the first half hour of a programme. So Cherry Island or Eileen Muir,
no idea.
whatever that is the only island on which Scottish loch.
I thought it was Loch Lomond.
It's Ness. That is Ness. You dropped a point.
I thought that was too obvious. This is what I'm saying.
You are recording your scores,
I am recording.
So that's Ness.
Yeah.
Which future monarch was played by Sarah Gaydon?
Yeah.
In the 2015 film A Royal Night Out?
Elizabeth II.
Correct.
It's a really good movie, actually. It's based on a true event where the Princess Margaret and the Queen, when it was VE Day, they sneaked out of Buckingham Palace and went partying at the Savoy.
Is it?
It's a true, it's a true story. Yeah.
I love stories like that.
It's a really, really good movie. It's a nice feel-good kind of thing.
Who at home is 8 of 8? See, if this was me, I would have dropped both of those. I would be 6 of 8 by now, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
No, you'd be 7 of 8.
I guess, so I'm 7 of 8. I nearly put Loch Ness.
Yeah.
I just thought it was too obvious. Because I was struggling to think of other locks, if I'm being honest. I don't know Scotland awfully well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't. No, really don't.
Yeah.
But there you go. So we'll be catching up with that again before the next advert break. But time to get back to the serious. We're going to be talking again about Iran and the war there as we enter, what is it, day 15?
Day 15.
Day 15. So let's welcome to the show. He is brilliant. He is the best. He's a Senior Associate Fellow at the Henry Jackson Society and, of course, a former Major in the Parachute Regiment. It is Andrew Fox. Hello, good morning, Andrew. How are you?
Yes, good morning. How are you? You well?
Yeah, I'm super well. Oh, I like your room. That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got all that stuff behind you. No bookcases for a military man. There's shields and pictures and possibly discarded weaponry. Who knows?
There's a sword.
It looks amazing. So let us talk about where we are today with Trump sending essentially what looks like boots on the ground, 5,000 Marines to the Strait of Hormuz to hopefully get it open by force. How do you think things are going? Because Peter and I were talking about this, and we both think that things are sort of working out pretty well. That people say there's no plan, and it's like, well, this happened and this happened and this happened, and it, to me, strategically, there seems to be a nice chronological poetry to it. But you are the expert.
No, I think you're right. No, I've said similar as well. It's a really bad symptom of our modern society that we expect instant results. Like, wars take time. You know, think back to Libya, that was 222 days. Even Kosovo, that was 78 days. We're on day 15.
Yeah.
You know, we can't expect decisive results today. Now, it may go incredibly well, it may go slightly badly. We don't know yet. But it's all these outlets that are maintaining they know exactly how good or bad this is are frankly getting far too far ahead of themselves. And when it comes to the Straits of Hormuz, to answer the first part of your question, yes, we've got a bunch of Marines coming there. The question is what they're going to do. They might have a sort of security job. I don't think they're going to be launching into divisional assaults, and rampaging up the coastline. I think it's more likely that they're going to try and secure some kind of depth for something else to happen. Because what you need to clear the Straits of Hormuz is ships. You need minesweepers, you need anti-submarine stuff. And you probably need escort ships as well. And that's probably what's lacking from the picture right now. But we do hear reports that there are more US Navy vessels moving towards the area. That's a very obvious job for them. But it's not going to be quick. So we need to brace ourselves for a few more days of high oil prices, I suspect.
So let us look about what we can probably expect to unfold over the coming days. And of course, when people get going demanding what the plan is, what do they want Trump to do? Just share highly classified information to the world? But it seems to me that the two big things now is, as you said, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, needing minesweepers in there, needing military vessels, escort ships. How critical is the island of Karg to all of this? Because Karg has sort of entered the vocabulary of the commentariat today. The US has managed to seize it, take it. This means that my understanding is the regime doesn't have access to 90% of the oil that they used to fund the regime. But is it going to be strategically important as an asset when it comes to defending the Strait of Hormuz?
Not when it comes to defending the Strait of Hormuz. They're in quite geographically different locations. The island of Karg is a little bit further north than I think most people realise. The importance of it is choking off the financial supplies of the regime. They can't pay their people if they don't have any oil money. And even during the war, they have been allowing Iranian oil on Chinese tankers to flow through that Strait of Hormuz so that they get their revenue from the Chinese. Which is one of the reasons why blocking the Strait of Hormuz completely is very much a last chance saloon move by the Iranians, because it stops their own oil getting out as well as the Gulf oil that they're trying to stop from hitting the world supply.
And what we can see as a result of this is where you now have Iranian militia not being paid, members of the IRGC not being paid. There are reports coming from within Iran that there are now people who are dissidents, people who are attacking and killing each other, that it could be, the regime could now actually be imploding.
Potentially, and I think we need to be very careful with reports coming off the ground. They're very, very tightly controlled, and we are living in an information war. So you kind of have to take everything with a pinch of salt until you've been able to verify it, and you may not be able to. So I'm very cautious with this stuff. But we know the IRGC is operating in 32 sort of disseminated headquarters. They've been given instructions, targets, and what to do in the event of the centre being taken out, which of course it has. I can see focused efforts on Tehran particularly to try and dismantle or deter some of that security infrastructure, mainly the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guards, or the Basij, which is the lower level militia. And I think what's happening is they're putting a plan in place to try and localize the removal of the security infrastructure so that somebody can then take over and have a chance of a successful protest or rebellion to remove the regime in that one small area, and then ink blot outwards from there. I think that's what I'm seeing, but it's still early days, as I said, so this is going to develop in a number of ways.
It really is, and what we see now is the Peshmerga are assembling. I think it's 6 different tribes have come together to work as one, poised over the border, potentially ready to go in. Well, I mean, we had sort of Trump put it out there before, didn't we? Yes, they're going to go in. No, they're not. They shouldn't get involved. And putting all this, as you said, we live in the information era, putting all these different mixed signals out. Because, you know, you don't want to turn around and go, well, they're there and they're going to go in 2 days' time, because they become sitting targets. I mean, frankly, they probably are already. But talk to me about the significance of that, because in multiple Gulf wars and conflicts now, the Western forces have relied very heavily upon the Kurds.
Yes, and have then subsequently thrown them to the wolves. The poor Kurds have a very mixed record of success when it comes to these things. And the Kurds at the moment have denied that they're going to do anything military in northwest Iran. I'm not convinced of the idea of forming ethnic kind of revolutions within Iran. I think that doesn't bode well for future coherence as a country. And I think you'll also start drawing in other actors. So if you arm the Kurds, promise them a state, you're then going to draw in Turkish ire, because Turkey has been long opposed to the idea of a Kurdish state and has spent a long time fighting Kurdish terrorists within Turkey. And the Kurds themselves are a mixed bunch. There are some great ones who are wonderful allies. There are some groups that are very hardline communist and perhaps aren't the ones you want to be empowering in a fragile state like Iran that might be on the cusp of collapse. I would be very careful of stoking those ethnic tensions unnecessarily.
I mean, do you think they're sort of being talked into the war in order to destabilise the IRGC, to keep people on their toes, and may not actually get armed or mobilised by Western forces?
Yes, I think it was partly that, and also partly a genuine attempt to try and get them to agree to do it by putting a bit of international pressure on, by creating a narrative. I think that was a sneaky little play by Washington that I don't think has come off yet. But I agree with you; it's definitely keeping the IRGC on their toes.
Now, the big thing, I suppose, that still needs to be done, if you're going to do a sort of list of priorities, the checklist is getting that enriched uranium. My understanding is it's believed to be hidden deep underground in, is it Isfahan, which was, of course, struck by the bunker buster bombs, but they can't necessarily access it because it's below the range of those particular bombs, and that might actually take boots on the ground to go in, extract that stuff so the regime can't get their hands on it.
Yeah, and it's a mission from hell, quite frankly, but it might be something for these Marines who've just been authorised to deploy to theatre to do. You know, you have a huge area to secure. You have to create a space in which the special forces can then operate. So an outer cordon, as it were, followed by an inner cordon of the specialists. And then you need to be able to move 300 to 400 kilograms of radioactive material, which is no easy job on a good day, never mind when you're doing it as part of a kinetic special forces operation. So it's a pretty tricky one. It's not an easy mission set. And I think it's perhaps something that could wait till later in the war when actually things may have died down a bit. It's an assumption. But if things keep going well and the IRGC keep getting taken off the battlefield and there's nobody there to guard or defend this, that could be a much easier mission than if you do it at the start of the war when everyone's still relatively fresh. So timing and sequencing will make an important difference.
Finally, let's focus our attention back to the United Kingdom. What do you make of the Al-Quds march that's going to be, well, it's not going to be marching, but it is going to be a static protest taking place in London, and the fact that the charity behind it is connected to the IRGC, it would appear, and yet is receiving almost £500,000 in taxpayer funding since 2020?
Well, it's worth remembering that Al-Quds Day is specifically an Iranian regime-designed event. They started this in 1979 to show their solidarity with the Palestinians. So it has its entire roots and origin in the Iranian regime. And this is really, I think, indicative of a wider problem, and that's that we've just been really weak on Iran, and we're now seeing that play out in real time. It's ludicrous that we should have an embassy here for the Iranians still, that they should have the office of the Ayatollah still in London, that we shouldn't have prescribed the IRGC and a bunch of individuals who are connected to the regime. Like, all this stuff is basics. Other countries around Europe are doing exactly that, and yet we haven't, which means that we have to endure this now Al-Quds Day stand on Sunday. Why
do you think we haven't? Because Peter Barnes and I had a sort of loose theory, which is sometimes countries don't prescribe an organisation. In fact, give refuge to the leadership of that organisation for the express purpose of being able to track them, monitor them, keep eyes on. Is there a window of possibility that the IRGC haven't been prescribed, the Ayatollah's office is here, that the Ayatollah's son has houses in London because it enables our security services to watch what they're doing? Or is that too hopeful, that there might be some reason behind it?
No, that's potential. And I think another potential answer is that we like to position ourselves as the counterpoint to those awful, brash Americans. And it presents the Iranian regime with somebody in the West they can talk to and have diplomacy with. Which flatters our Foreign Office, because they are nothing if not keen on being seen and grandstanding. So I think it's probably a combination of the two. But frankly, it's long overdue that we ban the IRGC.
I would agree. I totally agree. Andrew, it's great having you on. Thank you for joining us from your brilliant bunker there. I do like the decor of that. Yeah, I want him to come and do my little studio upstairs that I'm making.
Do we have time? Andrew, I just wanted to ask you a really, really quick question about the kind of the insurance system and what Trump has done in terms of actually kind of making sure there is some kind of trade going through this region. And I think is it like $20 billion worth that they put into the to kind of shore everything up a little bit. Does this not really prove demonstrably that there is a plan here, that these people have actually thought about this? Because I think it's one of the most important bits that we're not really talking about in terms of how America has kind of supported the region the best it possibly can to keep the trade active.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a military planner, the first thing you're going to do is look at the Strait of Hormuz. Like, that's the first thing you're talking about and briefing about. There's no way they've not gone into this without having a convincing idea, at least what they're going to try and do. They've tried to get the pipeline through the UAE and Saudi open, which I think is 3 to 5 billion. So nowhere near the 20, but still it's better than nothing. And then, of course, there's the really unfortunate measures which really hurt us in Europe, which is lifting sanctions on Russian.
Yeah, that was the phone call yesterday, wasn't it? Or the day before with Putin, and the EU lost its rag, and I was like, well, wait a minute, you were still buying gas from him not too long ago, so maybe get back in your box a little bit. Yeah, sorry, it's just one of those things that it's what it's. The maritime stuff is also fascinating, but also it's very complex.
It is,
and you're very. I actually love your podcast as well. So you're really good at explaining this stuff, and
he's the best. Things. That's why we always have him back. Yeah. We love Andrew Fox. Andrew Fox is king of the airwaves.
Yeah.
And anyway, thank you so much, Andrew. We'll let you go and enjoy your weekend now, but we'll be calling upon your services very soon, I am sure. But no, it's interesting because warfare is multifaceted, and Iran was always going to trying to economically destabilise the world, and it's not really working. And it's a bit rich, isn't it? When Ed Miliband, they have let him out the oubliette, and he's been going, I can't do an Ed Miliband. No one can do an Ed Miliband impression unless you've been punched in the face 25 times. But he's basically said, and this is why we need renewables. And it's like, hang on a minute, bozo brains, because the renewables demand foreign supply chains, precious rare earth minerals from China, manufacturing capabilities. All of that stuff requires power, and the power still, the ultimate source of that will come from fossil fuels.
Yes.
And in all of this, when you look at the EU and you look at the UK, you think that, if we had a sensible energy strategy this entire time, it would have sort of taken the power out of the anti-Western axis, out of Iran, out of Russia, given us security, and then given us some of that leverage. And right now we could be coining it.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, it's the first thing that America did.
Drill, baby, drill.
Was drill, baby, drill. And it was to have a secure energy policy as we move into what is going to be a very energy-intensive century. I mean, Meta today, the Facebook people, have actually started to pull a lot of its research funding in the UK because we don't have a reliable energy source. Yeah, so therefore we're losing jobs, we're losing the economy, we're falling behind in the AI race.
This government,
it's a huge
to put it mildly, domestic saboteurs.
Yes.
Right, time for our next two questions ahead of the advert break. Here we go. Hailing from a historic region just southeast of Paris, just east of Paris, sorry. Which French soft cheese is the queen of cheeses? La reine de fromage. There you go. Live translation from Alex. Hailing from a historic region just east of Paris, which French soft cheese is the queen of cheeses? And the night Riviera sleeper train runs between London and which Cornish town? The Night Riviera sleeper train runs between London and which Cornish town? OK, write down your answers and we will let you know if you were correct just after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, hi there. Ah, look what we did. See, this is Cece, by the way, Claire. Say hi. Hi.
Yeah.
There she is. There's Claire, who makes me look less like Rick Parfitt in the mornings. We love her. She's amazing. Yes. If it wasn't for her, then it'd be a ghoulish experience on YouTube. Yeah. And she does... Did she just do you before me, then? Did she?
No, not this time, but earlier, while we were waiting for you to arrive.
See, normally, the thing is about makeup ladies... Yeah. Is that they've got this thing against shine.
Yeah.
They don't care about anything else, but if they literally see just one little tiny spectrum of light glinting off your face, they're in there with their brushes.
Without it, yes. Yeah. I've started doing a lot of stuff with Jeremy Vine, and there's a makeup lady.
Oh, you do that one on Vibe, that Vine show?
Yeah, and I tell you now, there's a makeup lady there.
Oh, she's like lush, that one.
Yeah, I mean, I never look better.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Any amount of shine, they're right in there.
Oh, they go to town there. They sort of have you in there for 45 minutes, hair, so they do the works. Whereas I sort of do my own makeup in the morning and get a powdering, and my hair's always inexplicable. I just can't be bothered, really. Yeah. I prefer military aircraft to hairstyles. That's just the kind of girl I am. Right, shall we do some more messages?
Quiz answers.
Alex, you need... Oh, quiz answers. Thank you. Like that. Well, see, I'm sorry, but that is surely Chris's job to say in my ear, when we come back out of the break, do the answer to the quiz. Instead, he's like, when we come back after the break, let's have you having your makeup done. Yeah. All right, well, that happens during the break, so why not? Yeah. Anyway, the quiz answers. Here we go. So, La Reine de Fromage, the queen of the cheeses, from a region just east of Paris. What is that? Brie. It is indeed Brie de Meaux. And you did very well here.
Thank you.
I'm going to have to get you down. Yes.
I'm actually
local
quite
on a
smart.
Wednesday.
We've done a pub quiz together.
Oh, was it the one in Earl's Court? The King's Head?
Yeah,
that was a good quiz. Yeah.
Yeah, and he got very excited because the choir came in.
Oh, yeah, it was around Christmas time,
it was Christmas,
it? They have an arts round in that quiz, which
I've never seen anybody kind of hyper-focus on one simple task in my entire life. Yeah.
It's either making models of plasticine or designing posters, and I just sit there surrounded by felt tips and plasticine. I just, you guys get on. I have a job to do. I've never dropped a point. 10 out of 10 always for the art round. The Night Riviera sleeper train runs between London and which Cornish town?
Truro.
Oh no, it's not. So I got this one right in a guess, which is Penzance.
Penzance.
Yeah, it's always going to be Truro or Penzance. You'd think. Has anyone out there got 10 from 10? What, you must be 9.
I'm 8 from 10.
Oh, 8 from 10. Yeah, this is brilliant good.
8 from 10.
The thing is, it's after question number 10 that the switch happens and it suddenly gets rock hard. Yeah. This is where you start being embarrassed.
Right, okay.
Well, not embarrassed, just like, oh, well, how am I supposed to know that? Okay.
I didn't know there was a quiz.
To be honest, we didn't know what we were going to do today because it's the first show out the box. So, you know, it's always a bit of the pilot episode, if you will. Yeah. So you never quite know how it's going to shake down.
There's another plane reference for you.
I know, we're talking about plane references. Alex, you need to go to the air show at Compton Abbas near Shaftesbury, Dorset this year, Spitfires, and the only Lancaster bomber. I hear you, Louise, but the biggest air show in the entire world is Fairford. Yeah. But if it's cancelled because there's still stuff going on... Oh, thank you, Faith, my darling. Your lovely face just bought me a cuppa. But no, that's a great one, Fairford. But you know, I would happily do the Witch Guide to Air shows, get about Alderman, because my brother's in Eastbourne and they have
I think I've been to
Airborne, where you just sort of sit on the... Tech Up Dave knows that one. He's getting enthusiastic. Got air show connoisseurs all around here. Yeah. All of a sudden, I tell you what, 6 months I've been living in the Cotswolds and no one's come to visit. All of a sudden now, everything's coming out of Fairford. People are queuing up to come and see me.
The weather's nice now.
The weather's nice and we're all plane spotters, apparently. Morning, Alex. Great show. Thank you very much. There's a dog collar museum, The Animal, Not the Vicar, at Leeds Castle in Kent.
Yeah.
Not the most exciting of displays, but worth a look if you ever visit the castle. A dog collar museum.
I've been to Leeds Castle in Kent.
Have you? Did you go to the dog collar museum?
No, I didn't know. We went on a school trip.
I bet there's probably also a dog collar museum somewhere it's sort of deep in the sort of back alleys of Amsterdam.
I was just going to say Soho.
It's actually Soho, yeah. We're on the same page there. And let's do this before we take a caller. Oh, Alex, in capital letters. Kindred spirits, love the planes.
Yeah, everyone loves planes.
Everyone loves planes. Yeah. Have you visited the relatively new Spitfire Museum in Biggin Hill? And the church there, we're lucky enough to live close enough to the US Air Force Base, Lakenheath and RAF Mildenhall for visits. It gets in my soul. I have been to Biggin Hill back in the day when I was Farage's right-hand woman, and we used to have to go to Biggin Hill to get in little foot planes to go and get around the country. But that is where, factoid about Biggin Hill, I believe it is still the place where all of the Formula One teams fly all of their kit, because basically all of them are based in the UK, and I think they all fly out of Biggin Hill when they're going to the races. Another reason to go and get some binos out, basically. Spitfires and Formula One.
I know,
Hey! But no, so
did you read that story how it was in the, I can't think which newspaper, it said that the F1 people have to get involved in the war in terms of their technical skills. And
you always
all
got to get the F1 people involved. They're making ventilators. McLaren started doing that to start the pandemic.
It was a headline in one of the major newspapers this week. I can't remember which one, but it was literally, it was all this kind of stuff. It was saying, like, this is where we get the actual future of it from. This is a great song.
Oh, yeah, no, it has. Yeah, Chris reminds me, Bahrain and Saudi Grand Prix have been cancelled. Well, they'd have to be, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And annoyingly, so, you know, when it's... I was saying to Chris earlier, I might actually do the geeky thing of set my alarm at 5 a.m, get ready, come into work for 6:30 to watch the Formula One here before I go on air. Dedication. But, you know, when Grand Prix are the other side of the world and you've got to get up early, it's a pain in the neck.
That's true.
Because it records at home, but I know I can't get home without knowing the result because I'm surrounded by news.
Yes, yeah.
There's no way of dodging it, and then it's kind of ruined if you...
Yeah, I don't like watching something if I know the score or I know who wins. Because I'm like, the tension of it is gone. It's like, I never understand people that watch Match of the Day if you know the score. I don't understand
people who watch Match of the Day full stop.
I was forced to watch it once. Then it's not really my thing either.
No.
But yeah, I don't really get that. If you know the score of something, why are you watching it? Yeah.
Especially football. Yeah. Hi, Alex. Did you know there is a poo museum on the Isle of Wight? Says Elaine in Bracknell. The poo.
It's the dinosaur poo.
The poo has an H at the end of it, but I don't know if that's Winnie the Pooh. What is dinosaur poo?
Isn't it that? Yeah, it's got a name, hasn't it? Dinosaur poo. It's like a chalk white kind of
like
thing.
guano is the name for pigeon poo.
Yeah, I'm sure it's dinosaur
chalk
poo.
white. Well, you know, it's fossilised, isn't it?
And I'm sure it's that. Yeah, because that would make sense with it being there as well.
But anyway, you need to update us on what sort of poo is in the poo museum on the Isle of Wight poo.
Yeah.
Right, let's speak to Keith, who is in Hampshire. Good morning, Keith.
Hello, morning, Alex.
Good morning.
I'm sorry to bring the tone down.
That's all right.
But call me old-fashioned or thick, whatever you want to call me.
Neither. I bet you're both a modern gentleman and very sagacious.
This Iranian protest tomorrow.
Yeah.
Static. Protest. Right. Right. How's it going to be? How are they all these people, thousands of people that support the Iranians? How are they going to get there without marching there first? Have they got Doctor Who TARDISes each?
Well, no, they've got magic carpets, don't they? That part of the world.
Yeah, but I'll say. All they do, the organisers were, all they're going to do is say, right, we'll meet up 2 miles beforehand, 2 miles before, and then they'll march to where they got to stand still, static.
Yeah, I mean, look, I suppose they will assemble. Do you know, this is what I think is interesting, okay? The benefit of still allowing it to take place, and also legally, there isn't a way, is there, Peter, of sort of preventing it. But you can prevent it sort of moving around the place. But if they're all gathered in one place, well, it's a brilliant opportunity to get facial recognition.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant opportunity to see who's attending there, load it into databases.
Yeah.
Again, eyes on.
It's probably one of the great fact-finding missions that we have. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but what if half of them turn up with masks on or face coverings?
Well, some of them will. Or burqas.
Yeah.
But I know of course, some of them will. So, we do need to actually ban face coverings in public. It seems mad that this is still.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're a motorcyclist and you got to take your crash helmet off before you go into a petrol station, yeah.
Yeah.
So why haven't they got to do that then? Can someone...
I know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, like as Andrew Fox was saying, we've been so weak on Islamism for too long. for too long in this country. We're probably, when was it J.D. Vance who went asked, which...
Always going to be the first Islamic nuclear power, and he went Britain.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. Yeah, that's exactly the quote I was looking for.
You could be right there. Unfortunately, you could be right.
And then he actually said he was going to be the second, and he went France.
Yeah, it's true.
He's actually quite funny.
I like a bit of Vance. He's sort of, Rubio's now the one we see all the time. I think Vance, because he's not interventionist, is he?
Yeah, that's the one thing that rather put me off him was he said, why does America have to care when Pakistan and India start having a go at each other? Those two nations are not scared of using nuclear weapons. They really will go at each other. And I thought that's why you could tell he's still a bit new.
He's still a bit fresh.
Yeah. But Rubio's definitely making a lot of the moves.
I'm loving Rubio.
I love Rubio. Little Marco.
He's got an edge of young Spock.
Yes. Yeah, he did say something rather interesting, though, didn't he? Where he said, well, Israel are going to make a move anyway, and we'd look a bit stupid if we don't follow. So it just seemed to me that a lot of this was Israel going first.
Or... was it? I think Israel had the intelligence to know they were all gathered in that one place. But also that might have been playing to the home crowd as well.
I think it might have been, yeah.
Because I can't imagine this whole thing hasn't been planned in lockstep with one another from the beginning.
I was watching, they had a British Navy former admiral on, I think it was something I was watching, and he said a lot of what they're doing now, they were planning 15 years ago.
This is what I keep saying.
He said, I remember signing this off.
Yeah, the longest, most planned intervention in world history, basically. Right, it is time for another break, which means it is time for 2 more questions. Pens at the ready. And finger at the ready, tech up. Here we go. What's this theme music?
It sounds...
The wheel, apparently.
I
don't even know what the wheel is, but hey, let's go. In the animated series American Dad! Stan Smith works for which intelligence agency? In the animated series American Dad! Stan Smith works for which intelligence agency? And question number 12. I'm All Right by Kenny Loggins is the theme song of which 1980 golf comedy film? I'm All Right by Kenny Loggins is the theme song of which 1980 golf comedy film? Kenny Loggins, of course, most famous for the music in Top Gun.
Yes, also about planes.
Do you know what? Actually, at one point, as my computer password, I used to have it Kenny Loggins.
Oh,
I know.
Wow, yeah.
And my computer was called Fleetwood Mac.
I can't think which company used to have Hold the Line. Was the line Hold Music by Toto?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's not mess about it. Let's go straight for the obvious. Yeah. Okay, so there you go. Write down those answers for your own future marking, because when we come back after the break, we're going to reveal what they are. And we're also going to be talking about the Iranian March, what is going on in Iran, with Noaya Khan, who's a brilliant journalist and host of Beyond Belief. That's coming up after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and welcome back. Time for some answers. How would you think you've done on these two?
I think I definitely know one. The golf one I'm not 100% certain on.
Okay, so in the series American Dad! I've never heard of it, but there you go. Stan Smith works for which intelligence agency?
CIA.
You are correct. I mean, it's basically what's the intelligence agency in America called?
Yeah. They also live in a place called Langley.
I'm All Right by Kenny Loggins is the theme song of which 1980 golf comedy film?
Is it Caddyshack?
It is Caddyshack.
Yeah, that was the one I wasn't sure.
I
wasn't sure.
What have you got now? Your points?
12. I'm just a 10. 10 out of 12.
That is blimmin' good, can I just say?
Thank you.
Anyone,
Why is everyone so surprised?
Anyone 12 from 12? Is anyone out there 12 from 12? Like I said, we've got to get to 20, so 8 more questions still to go. But you're not allowed to leave the studio until this
I know,
quiz
I was
is
just
done.
thinking
It's
that,
now-
actually, yeah.
It's basically sort of like the sort of metaphorical handcuffs.
Pretty much.
Keeping you hostage in Talk Towers. The prince in the
People
tower.
think I live in this building as it is anyway.
That's dedication. That is dedication to the job. That might just be vicious rumours and gossip. Who knows?
It does, yeah.
And I've been in there and had a kip once when I was tired. Right, let us go back to domestic news. Well, indeed, and international news, because we're joined by the brilliant Naraya Khan. Good morning, Naraya. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm well, thank you, Alex. Thanks for having me.
It's always a delight to have you. Let's start off with the Al-Quds March in central London. I mean, for the audience's purposes, you were a practicing Muslim in a Muslim marriage, and you've essentially left the religion and become an apostate, right?
Correct, yeah.
And received all sorts of horrible recriminations as a result. I think that's an important context, which is why we want to speak to Noah about things like the Al-Quds March and the fact that the pro-Iran charity behind it has received almost £500,000 of taxpayer funding. What is going on in this country?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm glad you gave that context as well about my own upbringing, because the moment that you realise that a religion that calls itself Islam is entirely more than a religion itself, and it's got a massive political dimension to it, and effectively that's what we're dealing with here. It's never just confined to, you know, like what we're seeing in Iran, for example. The Al-Quds March that is due to take place on the streets of London has been going on for so long, since before I was born, which had even more kind of nefarious elements to it before Hezbollah was banned. But this is essentially a march and a day that was set aside by the Ayatollah Khomeini in 1979 after the Iranian Revolution to be carried out globally for Muslims, to almost galvanize them in support of the Iranian regime and what this means for the wider world on the last Friday of the holiest month for Muslims of Ramadan, which is effectively what we're seeing. So they are galvanizing in a way to be extremely anti-Israel, and this is kind of the anti-West resistant movement. So everybody that's deemed to take part in this is effectively aligning themselves politically and ideologically with a terrorist outfit like the Iranian regime.
So essentially, we've got a big terror jamboree happening in central London while we've actually got a war going on trying to take out the very terrorist entity, the terrorist state, that these people are cheering on. It's absolutely crazy. But what I find the most crazy is the amount of would-be progressive liberals who go along and back this stuff, especially given, you know, the chant in Iran has been women, life, freedom, the values that we uphold in the West and that have been cruelly and violently denied to the population of Iran for so long.
No, exactly. You just kind of see this, a lot of these, you know, liberals in the UK sit here and they're siding with a regime that has effectively murdered and raped women for showing 2 strands of hair. I mean, the ideology behind this is so sick that it makes me kind of, I struggle to even say it on national TV, because, you know, they've got edicts that come out of directly out of their Shia Islam that says if a girl is a virgin and she's imprisoned, we must rape her so that she cannot enter heaven. I mean, this is the ideology of the mullahs that are carrying out this, and the IRCG are the ones who carry out these effectively like these crimes, they've actually been giving families of girls that they've raped flowers after they have died to show your daughter was not a virgin when she died. We got her married off to a prison guard, and therefore she will not go to heaven. And this is what we see liberal women defending here in the West. And just to your point as well, Alex, about the funding received, the tentacles of this regime stretch so far and wide in Britain, and we've allowed it to fester for so long that it calls into question how our entire charity commission is set up, because, you know, we've got this purpose that is for the advancement of religion, and Islam uses the advancement of religion very well to sneak in like political terrorist outfits that have been funded for so long, because then we can only investigate them retroactively. We can't actually, you know, and by then it's too late. Like this, who knows where the funding for the Al-Quds marches come from? Sleeper cells are being activated across the West at the moment because those are the commands of the kind of, you know, dying cause of the Iranian regime because of the bombardment that they're under.
It's absolutely shocking, and this is the exact moment that the government decides to vaingloriously push ahead with an Islamophobia definition, which, again, you're saying, you know, political Islam has been extremely good at capturing all of the apparatus of state, be it charities, be it faith schools, be it summer clubs and camps, be it community leaders, advisors. And the idea that there should be Islamophobia legislation, to me, has actually directly come from people such as those connected with the Iranian regime who want to use this stuff to push political Islam into our country, into our politics, because it's campaigning, because it's conquering, because this isn't, like you said, just about people with a private religious belief and a relationship with God. Islamism is the politicization of that, which some would argue that that is all Islam, and that there's, you know, people just sort of pick and choose, cherry pick how they follow it. But I'm not going, you know, I'm no scholar or theologist in these matters. But what we've now found is Home Office data reveals that Muslim hate crimes are twice as likely to be prosecuted as those against Jews. There is this constant special favour towards Islam. Oh, we've got to have specific legislation to protect you. Oh, hate crimes against you have to be researched and carried out. But it is the way that these organisations have infiltrated and manipulated the mindsets, ideologies, operations and machinations of the state that essentially created that fortification around the rape gangs.
Exactly. It's this constant pandering. It's this constant, you know, we must ensure that we're not Islamophobic and racist when you're allowing the most heinous of crimes to fester underneath that. And you said it perfectly, Alex. And I always mention this when I'm covering a topic, is that gone are the days, of like offensive jihad, when it was, you know, we'll conquer the West through, you know, violent kind of warfare in that sense. Now the warfare has gone underground and it's a lot more nefarious. It's a lot more controlled. And as you were alluding to earlier, this is a long time in the making. They've got 50-year plans, 100-year plans in terms of how to infiltrate institutions, be it white-collar institutions, be it through councils, politics, voting blocks. This is all kind of like a very consolidated campaign. And I hate to say it, but I really genuinely believe that even the grooming of white British girls was part and parcel of that.
Wow. That it's been done deliberately to subjugate parts of that community, parts of their own people within their own community. It's funny because I remember when Jim Ratcliffe turned around and said the UK has been colonised, and all of a sudden everyone's, you know, spitting feathers about the use of that word. But it certainly looks that way, doesn't it? In part, when you see people coming over. Did you see the extraordinary video, Noah, of two Muslim men on horseback in Manchester, seemingly patrolling the streets as some kind of enforcement?
Yeah, and honestly, Alex, there are certain parts of this country that you go to, which I think we kind of just holistically call them no-go zones. But as somebody who has come out of the faith and, you know, even from a like ethnically Pakistani background, when you hear people talking, they sometimes use language as in like, this is ours. This area has now become ours, because they've de facto, obviously the immigration population there is, you know, so cemented, but then they've got their own kind of, you know, parallel lives operating, and they think that they've got enough entitlement to walk around on horses mourning people that we would consider absolute terrors.
I just want to ask you one final thing, because recently there's been this sort of trend of having iftar and the call to prayer and breaking the fast and all the rest of it taking place in venues around the country. We've seen it in a Muslim celebration in Westminster Hall. I think that was iftar. We've seen the call for prayer ringing out of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We saw a similar thing, actually, at Aston Villa a while back. And someone said to me, the thing is, for people who are conservative Muslim, that's like marking your territory. Once you've done those things, that becomes your holy ground, your site. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's all kind of part and parcel of this dominance and asserting that, which obviously Islam is there to dominate. I mean, even in their call to prayer, if you look at the words that are used, it's Allahu Akbar, which is actually, it's not just God is great. That's a misconception. It means God is the greatest in Arabic, which means their God is actually the greatest out of all other gods who are just inferior. So that is the call to dominance and the assertion of dominance. And when it's combined with a mass congregation of men all bowing down to that call, it is effectively them marking their territory.
It's terrifying stuff. Noah, it's always wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much. People need to know how brave Noah is.
Yeah. I found out about it through one time you had her on here.
Yeah, because I got to know Noah when we were making a video for the New Culture Forum, which was all about immigration and the threat to women. A while ago now, we sort of really kicked that off together, and you know what she has been through, because it's in some respects it can act like a gangster religion. When you leave, you have to be destroyed.
Yes, I think it is the only religion that, you know, if you leave, you are, you know, it is right for you to be killed. I think it is, technically, I think it is still the only one. And I actually have a friend of mine who is also an apostate. Like, he left the religion, and he hasn't seen his parents in decades, you know, because he's genuinely that terrified of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's staggering. It really, really is.
The other person we speak to is Muhammad Najmi, who is another apostate.
Yes.
And I know a guy called Dan Bamawi, who now lives in America, who is the same. And it's, you know, it is terrifying for people trying to sort of break out into freedom. And that is echoed in the broader geopolitical scenes and the things going on in Iran.
Oh, without a doubt. But going back to what you were saying about how we've let it go, we don't actually defend our civil society.
We don't understand them.
No.
That is the problem.
Yeah.
Right. Mood change, because we've got 2 more questions. Here we go. Going for gold. Is it? No. Blockbusters.
I thought it was Blockbusters.
Yes.
Again, I'm not that old.
All the 80s quiz music sort of sounds the same.
I wasn't even born in the 80s.
Oh, I always forget this. Oh, well, the last time we were all together, we actually did AI quiz. What's your age? What was yours again?
I think it's 51, 52.
And I came out as like 30.
You're like, tell everyone.
I lost 10 years and you gained about 20. It was amazing. Oh, sorry, Peter.
Thank you.
Anyway, right, the questions. Question number 13, pens at the ready. Which Labour candidate defeated Michael Portillo to win the Enfield Southgate seat in 1997. Enfield Southgate. Which Labour candidates defeated Michael Portillo to win the Enfield Southgate seat in 1997? And question 14. Which 1941 comic novel is the first book in Compton Mackenzie's series of Highland novels? So it's a 1941 comic novel, the first book in Compton Mackenzie's series of Highland novels. Right, we'll be giving you the answers to those questions just after this.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. It is, of course, answer time. So here we go. Which Labour candidates defeated Michael Portillo to win the Enfield Southgate seat in 1997?
Stephen Twigg.
It was!
It's one of the most famous moments in British politics.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he also won his seat after it was Anthony Berry died in the Brighton bombing at the Tory conference. He took that seat, yeah.
You know your onions, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I don't know the answer to the next one, so I didn't say anything.
Which 1941 comic novel is the first book in Compton Mackenzie's series of Highland novels? It's The Monarch of the Glen.
Oh, I used to watch that on the BBC.
So there you go. How are you doing scores-wise so far? Out to 14?
9, 10, 11.
That is pretty good going. Anyone 14 from 14? That's what I want to know. Let me know if you are 14 from 14. And be honest. Don't lie to us. Because that just ruins it, doesn't it? 03444991000. Number to call if you want to brag. Or indeed to send me a WhatsApp message. Or leave me a celebratory voice note that so far you're 100%. 8722 is the number to text. Like the word talk before you boast. Or you could actually just talk to us about anything, really.
Yeah,
whatever you want.
much.
Whatever you want.
Like we said, it just says talk on the wall.
Yeah, I know. It does what it says on the tin. Shall we do a few messages? Hi, Alex. May I point out the obvious? Open borders means this so-called standstill protest will get worse. Would love to hear that Muppet Polanski defend his open policies when it's put to him what the protest is standing for. He probably supports it, says Paul from Spain. This is the thing about... I mean, look, it's very cynical and deliberate what Islamists are doing by hijacking the Green Party as their vehicle. It's a very convenient multicoloured rainbow lanyard coat for them to wear to look all cuddly and nice when underneath it all they probably don't go along with the alphabet people.
No, definitely not.
But it's the Green Party in all of this. Are they just sort of willfully naive? Are they so ignorant that they really genuinely believe happiness and everyone's lovely, or do they know underneath it all what's happening and just don't care if it gets them into power because they're radicals?
Yeah, I think it's one of those moments where they're kind of just deluding themselves and into hoping that the reality is not reality. Because let's not forget, we had a grandmother who was taking their daughter to send Valentine's Day cards to people at Crowborough.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was a Green councillor, so that's the level that we're at.
It's a mixture, isn't it? There'll be people who are well aware and are just cynically
and anybody who still thinks the Green Party are middle-class people and recycling, pay attention.
Well, actually, the problem is some of them still are. Yeah. They're the ones who aren't paying attention. Yeah. Right, should we do a call? Let's speak to Ian, who's in London. Good morning to you, Ian.
Good morning, Alex. I was just following your previous discussion.
Yes.
Now, we've had Islam in this country for over 200 years with no problem. The first mosque was built in Woking for Abdul Karim, the manservant of Queen Victoria. My father grew up with Muslims in the northeast. They were Yemeni seafarers, and they fully integrated in the local community. No problem. It's happened recently because we've imported people from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and taken them as representative of the whole Muslim world, and they are not. And also, they're not good Muslims because they are illiterate. You cannot read the Quran if you cannot read and write.
Right. No, interesting. It is true that, you know, for a long time, the idea that we're having this sort of face-off, if that's what it is, or if that's like terminology, with Islam in the 21st century, and that this is a brand new phenomenon, certainly for other parts of Europe, it is not.
No, it's not.
You know, Spain knows this all too well.
Yeah, what's the great tautology? The one thing from history is we never learn from history.
Yeah.
And that's what we're coming to kind of face to face with, because I actually happen to agree that we have this image of the perfect migrant. They're not all like that. And we have to actually get into the actual details of the different types, who's coming from what country and what are they bringing with them, because they don't leave their customs and culture at Calais.
Yeah, and
they bring it here.
And what is their intention?
Yes,
for the most part as well.
Yeah.
But the problem is now is we've got people who, because we've been psyoped and made to chant Islam is the religion of peace for the past 20 years, despite seeing the World Trade Centers fall, despite seeing the Ariana Grande concert, despite all of the things which evidently points the otherwise. We have been force-fed this narrative that too many people just believe.
Yeah, I also think it's the kind of the big problem. In other words, this is such a huge existential crisis in the country that people just don't want to deal with it. I think that is a big problem.
They don't know how to. They don't know how to because we've sort of effectively had our hands chopped off. I'm trying to think of a better turn of phrase, but we've been prevented from being able to deal with it by being told that's going to be racist, that's xenophobic, that is not being inclusive, that's not being tolerant.
But one thing I will say is, where is the supposed moderate Muslim community in putting this stuff down? That is the one thing I always say to people. Where are people breaking up the power of the mosques? Indeed. Where are people breaking up the power of the imams in these community leaders? The most sinister phrase in British politics.
Oh, indeed. I know, community leaders. Ian, thank you so much for your input. Right, we've got 1 minute to squeeze in 2 more questions. Here we go before the break. Most of the world's acetic acid is produced via the carbonylation of which organic compound? So most of the world's acetic acid is produced via the carbonylation of which organic compound? And which German artist concluded all writing is crap in his Pandemonic Manifesto II in 1962? Which German artist concluded all writing is crap? Answers on a postcard. This is where, I told you it gets hard. This is where, your self-confidence from the earlier simple questions starts to fall apart and you realise that you're never going to be as good as Olav himself, who sets the quiz. OK, then, write those things down and we'll give you the answers just after this break. We've had so much fun. 2 hours has passed already, which means we're now circling at a very fast rate towards the final hour of the programme. We're going to be focusing on Trump and America with Steve Gill, former White House official, and those answers just after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there and welcome back. And have you been staying with us this whole time? Are you answering all of your Olafs and how well Oh, thank you, Faith, my darling heart, you gorgeous girl. There we go. We've got another cup of tea. Do you need anything, Barnes?
Because
I'm being, fed and watered and looked after while you're turning into a husk in the corner of this air-conditioned studio.
The driest mouth in the room.
Apparently, a very attractive husk.
Oh, apparently so, yes.
Because someone's messaged in saying, hi, Alex and Pete, amazing show. My mum and I watch you all the time. Such big fans. Can you tell Pete I think he's the sexiest man on TV?
Well, thank you very much.
There we go. In fact, what we tried to do, because we saw your soda at the top of the message there, so we've been trying to Google
We have Googled you.
We're using the advert page to see what you look like.
Yeah.
Not ashamed to admit we did that.
It's quite a common name.
Well, is it?
Yeah.
Because you found two in Australia.
Two in Australia, and there's one in Derby.
Oh! That could be our person.
But yeah, there's
yeah,
loads.
got a picture for that?
No,
no picture of the Derby.
No,
Derby. Is that you, Derby, Chris?
Yeah. If they're in Australia, they work in equine fencing.
As in, I'm assuming this is not using épées on the back of horses like a sort of version of jousting, but probably creating paddocks.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I was rather hoping it might be the former.
I quite like the idea of sort of, with the sort of full mask, a sort of Zorro on a horse.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Stephen Dagenham says, the questions are getting tough. Can I phone a friend? It's David Lammy. Do you know, the other day we had this theory that we could have someone like on the other side on the phone, and when they can't answer the questions, they could phone my dad.
Oh.
Story arc. Go all the way back to the source of the idea of the game. Or phone Olaf itself. Oh, we've got to do the answers, haven't we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, Chris has started to get his stroppy voice on. He's like, do the answers. Well, that's because, I can't talk and listen at the same time. I'm not that good. Right, the answers. And also, he's not even sitting on his chair anymore. He's now, sitting on his desk.
He's doing like the cool teacher sitting on the side of the desk.
He is doing cool teacher. Cool angry teacher. That's detention. I was going to say, that's detention face. Yeah. So here we go. Do you know what? These questions are getting so difficult that I don't even know how to pronounce the answers anymore. Most of the world's acetic acid is produced via the carbonylation. It's carbon YL-ation.
Yeah, carbonylation.
Yeah. The carbonylation of which organic compound?
I don't know what. I think
I don't even know what that means.
Is it like tree bark? No.
Oh my gosh!
Is it?
I don't know.
Aspirin.
But
salicylic acid is aspirin.
You know yourself. So it says methanol or methyl alcohol or wood alcohol.
Wood alcohol, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's from the willow tree, which is acetic.
And then it's even got the chemical thing here.
Yeah.
CH3OH.
Oh.
But I think you should give yourself a point for throwing in tree bark, because it's got wood, wood acid in there. Because
I know that salicylic acid is aspirin, which comes from the willow tree.
You really are clever, aren't you? I thought I was bright, and you're showing me up. Which German artist concluded, all writing is crap? In his Pandemonic Manifesto II of 1962.
Oh, I went for Caspar Goddard Friedrich.
No, and I don't know who that is.
He's the one that does The Wanderer on the hills. Do you know where it's the guy who stood like this, and he's in front of like a big cloudy thing?
Has he got like a stick with him and he's in silhouette?
Yeah. That's Caspar Goddard Friedrich, and he's German, and he's the only one I could think of in the 3 minutes that we had.
I see. No, it's someone called George Baselit. Baselit?
I don't know.
Baselit? But anyway, it's that person.
Oh.
So there you go. Right, so has anybody, the big question is, has anybody got 16 from 16? If you have, what are you?
Yes, I'm going to say,
so what are you on now?
I'm 12.
That is still blooming good. That is still very, very good, I must say. OK, right, we'll be picking up the Olaf quiz shortly, but it's time to focus our attentions back on what is going on in Iran. As the latest developments this morning, day 15 into the war, is the Americans have launched strikes against Iran's Karg Islands. Now, Karg Island is responsible for around 90% of the regime's income via oil. It is just south of Iran. strategically located, but Andrew Fox was telling us earlier, not necessarily a launch base for operations in the Strait of Hormuz. So what is going on? Is the plan working out? Is there a plan? Let's speak to Steve Gill, former White House official. Steve, it's always a pleasure to have you on the programme. Now, just going to, throw in my own 2 bits, which is I am fed up with everybody in the United Kingdom going, what's the plan? What's the plan? When it seems to me that there is a very well-rendered plan, multiple plans that are now being meticulously carried out, and so far they seem extremely successful. If anyone doesn't have a plan, it's the blimmin' British government. But perhaps you're going to say, as a former White House official, you may think that, Alex, but you are wrong.
First of all, you guys are having way too much fun this morning, and the only German author I know is Nietzsche, and I don't think he said all writing is crap. I think he said all everything is crap. So that might be the right answer as
he
well.
also said God is dead.
Yeah, that's the one.
I think President Trump and the team laid out a very detailed plan of what the objectives were. Now, again, what the objectives are and then how you attain them are sometimes 2 separate things, but it's to make sure that Iran has no nuclear weapons, that you degrade their ballistic weapons capability to stop them from hitting people outside their boundaries and beyond, including into Europe. And then third is to make sure that they're not funding terrorism around the world. Down the list is just sort of a byproduct, I think, is regime change, and that comes if you do those other things. But they made very clear what their top 3 priorities are. I think they've been remarkably successful in degrading the nuclear capacity, and there are other sites now that they're starting to hit that are deep down as well. And by the way, you don't build nuclear power capacity 300 feet, 300 meters under the ground. So I mean, this lie that we're just doing it to get power is a bunch of junk. And then they're using these ballistic missiles to hit their neighbors and civilian targets beyond their territory, which again underlines why it was essential to first to keep them from getting nukes, and second, keep them from really keeping anything. So again, they are being pummeled. It's 2 weeks in, and I know we have impatience. We watch a 30-minute episode on TV and get bored at 27 minutes if it's not solves the crime. It takes time. And they're being remarkably successful. As you mentioned, the Karg Island assault in the last 24 hours will bring them economically to their knees because it will stop the lifeblood flow of oil that funds all of their revenue. And that's, I think, the big play that was part of the plan that is now being enacted.
How much has the UK initially thrown a spanner in the works?
Well, again, I think it's not just what they didn't do in this case, it's the doubt that the UK, particularly under Starmer, will do anything in the future. I mean, when you're a completely unreliable ally, are you really an ally at all? So I think President Trump, kind of said it not just tongue in cheek, but hey, thanks for the help of offering to do things now. We don't need you anymore. And I think that may be the attitude towards the UK moving forward into hopefully not a lot of future conflicts. But when you're looking at the success that Trump has had in other areas, whether it's snatching Maduro and changing Venezuela's direction, the apparent imminent change in Cuba, I mean, it is working all over the world. And I think, again, the first 2 weeks are showing that it's working in Iran. And again, you change that dynamic after, since 1979, they've been killing people all over the world, killing their own people, brutalizing that entire region. Man, that is an epic world shift that should be the focus right now, not just, well, what's the plan? What happens tomorrow? Why haven't we already won?
This is it. As far as I can tell, Donald Trump's aim is to completely reshape the world, and this is breaking apart the anti-Western axis. And actually, Trump 1.0, the non-interventionist Trump, was actually laying all the groundwork for what we have today. And it was, it should be noted, of course, that his first big state visit in the second term of presidents was going to Saudi Arabia, and building those critical relationships within the Gulf region and among Arab nations has been absolutely vital to what we're seeing today, which is the most remarkable thing I've ever seen. I never thought I'd live to see the day where Muslim nations in the Middle East are backing America, and the people actually getting in the way are the Europeans.
Yeah, and I think that what we have to understand about Trump and America historically is we are fundamentally, our default setting is lack of intervention. You know, we're isolationist as our default setting. Our first president, Washington, said to avoid foreign entanglements, and that meant any kind of alliances that he had seen between, you know, the French and English constantly fighting, the Spanish and going all over the world, colonizing other places. So the advice from the beginning was stay out of other people's business. And I think it was actually a British politician once said, Americans will always do the right thing eventually. Maybe it's almost too late. We got into World War II very late. And usually when we allow this non-intervention isolation theory to take hold, we will eventually do the right thing. And it's almost too late sometimes. And again, if it's Iran has nuclear weapons, it would be too late. And that's why we're acting now.
I mean, do you think, actually, if Trump had immediately won a second term, this is what would be carried out then? But, of course, we had the sort of interloper period of Joe Biden where everything just ended up sort of, you know, oh, well, let's start negotiating with Iran. Let's bring back the JCPOA. And they're rubbing their hands together with glee going, come on, guys, let's get that uranium enriched. They're falling for it.
You can't get a really great meal until you taste something really bad and say, we're not going back and eating there again. So the 4 years with Biden told us how bad things actually can be. And Trump was able to come in and say, OK, we're not going to do any of that anymore. More importantly, I think you touched on a great point, Alex. If Trump had been immediately reelected, we would not have seen the massive gains that he's making economically, internationally, because the team he had around him in the first administration were not Trump advocates. They were not allies. You know, if you've worked in administrations, if people are not all pulling in the same direction in the boat, you know, you're kind of skittering all over the water. The Trump team this time are the ones that in every agency, every department have an objective, and they're pulling towards that same objective, not trying to undercut or you know, sabotage what was going on. So if it had been an immediate reelection, I don't think you would have seen nearly the success we've seen in this first 14 months of the second Trump administration.
Fascinating. Like, who would you say, I mean, in terms of names that the Brits might know, who've been some of the primary architects of this? Because over here, a little old Blighty, we're seeing a lot of Steve Witkoff, Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio certainly is becoming a very, very popular among our audience here. Is it, and people like Jared Kushner, my understanding is he was quite central to things like drawing up the Abraham Accords.
Yeah, I think what you had, though, was that different cabinet agencies had people that were put in place in many cases because Trump was listening to the moderate Republicans, the ones that had really affinity with Washington. So he went in wanting to clean the swamp, and most of his first administration were holdovers from, you know, swampland. So in this time, whether it's the energy secretary, whether it's Scott Bessent at Treasury, on down the line at every department and agency, and this time he's actually filled those second and third top spots. In the first term, he didn't fill a lot of those spots because his attitude was, well, you know, they're already in place. He was focused on the top jobs, and in many cases left jobs vacant, thinking, oh, we'll save money if I don't fill that bureaucratic position. Well, that meant that the holdovers, the careerists, were filling those spots who had no affinity for Donald Trump. So it wasn't just the top, but it was on through the bureaucracies where they were pulling the rug out from under every objective that the Trump administration had. And in this case, again, you name some of the ones that are kind of the profile of international negotiation, Witkoff and Kushner. But you cannot ignore that Marco Rubio is a superstar. And keep in mind, there are no permanent enemies or permanent friends. I might put Starmer right now in the permanent enemies list, but there are no permanent friends or enemies in Trump world. Marco Rubio was little Marco. He was absolutely obliterated by Trump verbally the first election season, and now he's like one of his strongest allies. And you look at this administration, they seem to work very well together. They trust each other, because, again, they know the plan and they're implementing the plan that the president sets. And, again, sometimes it changes, but they are implementing what the president wants rather than their own personal objectives.
Now, there was a particular politician in the United Kingdom who is well known for making snotty comments, who seemed to make snotty remarks about some of the memes and the music that's being put out from the POTUS account on Truth Social, on X. You know, we've seen a lot of this, the planes taking off and the sort of, you know, peppy 80s music, to which my reaction is this is all part of war. It's all part of war to keep your people on side, right? And if the Americans started disliking the idea that there might be troops going over, we now know there's 2,500 US Marines en route, and a flotilla of invasion ships going to the Middle East. We've already seen US casualties. Is it working? Are the American people, by and large, supportive of what Trump is doing in the Middle East?
I think generally there is a lack of patience again that the left, that the Democrats, that the media that are promoting every lie, every AI fake video that Iran propagandizes. There is an attempt to undercut support. And I think the Trump administration has to do a much better job of emphasizing what we're doing, what the plan is in terms of we're going to completely degrade their ability to attack others, and including their Muslim neighbors in the Middle East that are all siding with the U.S., as you point out, in an amazing reshift of the world. So I think you have to constantly be communicating. And I think the other part is, even though they keep saying, and I believe it's absolutely true, that the oil price surge is temporary, that it may actually come and prices will be even lower than they were before this conflict began. You have to keep emphasizing how that's going to happen. I mean, the U.S. gets about 3% of our oil through the Straits of Hormuz. China and others are much more dependent on that particular oil. Granted, it's a commodity, it's a worldwide value, but the U.S. has plenty of oil in reserve. I think I just read this morning, Japan has almost a year of oil in reserve. So a lot of this is panic and fear that's driving the oil prices, not necessarily the reality of a disruption. And again, will it be long term? Karj Island, which is the repository of Iranian oil and their distribution, we can literally starve them to death. And if you got these thugs, you got these soldiers, you got these police that are keeping the people of Iran oppressed, if they're not getting their paychecks, it's a little easier to flip them to the right side, and particularly if they understand that the guys who've been paying you aren't going to be around to pay you in the future. So when those checks stop cashing in Iran, you do start to see change on the ground, even without boots on the ground.
Now, super quickly, Steve, because I should really let you go, but I do like going over. I like ignoring my producer and the calls. So, like, last question. Come on, we've got to go to have a break, because I think that the big question here: no one's got a crystal ball, and no one knows. In the prosecution of a war, what's around the corner, and you have to keep changing your strategy. But you spoke about time there. The world is looking at this and wants to know about timings because of the pressures being put on oil and gas, even just flight routes. You go on Flight Tracker, there's a big hole over the Middle East right now where aviation can't follow the routes it would normally take. No one knows for sure, but do you think this is hopefully going to be done and dusted in some sort of way, shape or form by summer? Do you think? Because I think things are moving on very swiftly from where I'm standing, but I wanted to get your take on that.
Well, you look at World War II in the Asia Pacific, taking each island during that conflict took 6 weeks or 8 weeks each island. So again, you're talking about a large country here, and while a lot of this is an air war, and there is an intent not to have to go boots on the ground, door to door, because that does produce a lot of casualties. Again, it's been 2 weeks. The Trump team's been saying, give us 4 to 6 weeks. Again, they have to keep emphasizing a timetable, then keep meeting those deadlines. But the biggest lesson of warfare that we always have to remember, and sometimes we learn at our peril, you can't fight the last war. Look at the Maginot Line, in World War II. You can't fight the last war. This is a new war. Drones were something that, 10 years ago, people didn't think were the biggest factor. They're a huge factor. And the cost of warfare, if it cost a, $2 million missile to shoot down a $30,000 drone, the economics of warfare have to be calculated. Now it looks like there's other cheaper means to bring these drones down. And again, if you can bomb the snot out of their factories where they can't even get them off the ground, that's going to be an even better economic issue. But you have to look at each war as a new war, not based on, okay, how did you fight the last one? Because if you're fighting the last one, you're likely to lose.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Brilliant having you on, as always, Steve. That's the excellent Steve Gill, former White House official. And, you know, very quickly before we go, well, before we do our questions and go to break, my gut feeling is that this isn't going to drag on. I could be very wrong on this, but my gut feeling is, certainly when it comes to Iran, what's going on in Lebanon and Israel striking Beirut, etc., that I don't know, because getting rid of Hezbollah, like getting rid of Hamas, is far more difficult because they're far more interwoven into the communities. But in terms of getting the job done, so the regime's basically collapsed and they've got no access to globally lethal weapons, I think we're not far off.
I think we probably are at, about 80%, 85% maybe. Yeah, like we said, we don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow, so this whole, what's the plan? It's nonsense.
I know, yeah.
But, I think you are right there, actually, that I think we are much further ahead of it. I mean, it's been 15 days. We have such a short attention span, and every single expert we spoke to today has said this will take time.
Right.
But we are so impatient, and I actually think a lot of it is done for moral superiority and intellectual superiority. I know more than the president. I'm better than Donald Trump. I think it's all that.
Because Donald Trump, he's getting it wrong.
Yeah, I think
they hate to see him boss it.
Oh, they
and
do.
He's absolutely boss it.
Because I always go back to when it was the Gaza-Israel peace deal. It was Trump's peace deal. So if it collapsed, it was Trump's fault.
And aren't we all looking forward to the Riviera of Gaza?
Yeah.
It's going to be lush, man.
Yeah.
Trump casinos, lovely beaches. Mwah. Yeah. Love what he's up to. OK, right, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for the next 2 questions in your Olaf quiz. That's just what music is. Is that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
There we go. Right.
This is half of the quiz.
I know, it is like there's a quiz within a quiz. Who knew we were going to get that? Right, question number 17. Which Chinese province has a name meaning north of the river, referring to the Yellow River? So which Chinese province has a name meaning north of the river, referring to the Yellow River? And question number 18. Which chestnut gelding held off Spartan missile to win the 1981 Grand National? So which chestnut gelding held off Spartan missile to win the 1981 Grand National? All right, write those down and we'll give you the answers just after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you go, in the poodle parlour, getting the older Barnet brushed by Claire. Thanks, love. There you are. See? We give you the magic of what goes on behind the scenes. You don't get that sort of exclusive access anywhere, do you? Right. That's because we're just the truth station, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're no spin, no lies.
No. We're too tired most of the time to do any of that.
Just unvarnished reality.
Yeah.
No derangement syndrome present.
Yeah.
Right, are you ready for your answer? This is the point where it's just like, this is the point where I'm just like, I have to stop participating in terms of trying to answer myself because it's just too hard. But which Chinese province has a name meaning north of the river, referring to the Yellow River?
Huanghe.
No.
Oh, I thought it was.
Hebei.
Oh, no. It's all the same. I know it.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I know that is there, but yeah.
I did actually for a while live in China, but it's a big place.
Yes, it's quite a big place.
And I was in Shanghai, and all I knew was Shanghai.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. It just seems to be there's always Shanghai.
Yeah.
Like it's Shanghai and that is it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Then I don't know. It's massive though.
Oh.
Very big China. Right. Which chestnut gelding held off Spartan missile to win the 1981 Grand National?
Red Rum?
I would have guessed that.
See, I don't
because,
know horses.
Like it's a chestnut horse and it won Grand Nationals.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was Aldaniti, apparently. So there you go. If anyone has now got 18 from 18, who are you?
Yes.
How do you know all this stuff?
Yeah, that's the quick thing. Why do you know this stuff?
Is it you,
it's not
Olaf?
how, why?
Is it Olaf himself? But there we go. We've only got 2 more questions left. It's worked out well with that.
It's worked out really well.
I haven't even done the maths of advert breaks to questions, but it's just like, it's almost like it was meant to be. Makteb, as they say. Shall we have a caller, Pete?
Yes.
All right, let's speak to Elaine, who's in Glasgow. Good afternoon, Elaine.
Good afternoon. I don't usually phone in to any programmes, but I'm really sickened and I'm sad because it's making a mockery. This march that's going to take place, this Iranian march, is making a mockery of every person that died in 2 world wars to keep the UK safe.
Yeah.
To keep people safe.
I think it also, quite frankly, what I think is the most sick part of this, the most sick part, is it's making a mockery of the estimated 30,000 people brutally slaughtered within the space of a few days by the regime. It's making a mockery of the women who've been deliberately targeted, shot in the eye. Even when they've been in hospital, shot in the eye. That seems to be the favourite modus operandi of the IRGC and the regime. It's making a mockery of the fact that people there have been chanting women, life and freedom because women have been disgustingly, cruelly subjugated. It makes a mockery of all the people who were massacred in their houses on October the 7th. It is just...
Also, I can't understand, and I'm saying this with common sense, I'm not right, I'm not left. I know they like to put tags on people, but I don't want to do that. But I'm speaking from common sense. And what I'm saying is, we have British soldiers at the moment in Iran. And they are fighting for their lives out there.
We've got British soldiers in Iran, did you say?
In Cyprus.
Oh, we've got in Cyprus, yes. We've got well, Akrotiri,
we have British soldiers that are being hit. Let's not beat around the bush.
Well, no, exactly. We've got them stationed in places like Qatar, where they train up the Qatari air forces. We have them in Erbil in Kurdistan in northern Iraq, a massive base there. And it's not just British soldiers. My understanding is the French soldiers today has been the latest Western casualty by these Iranian strikes. And they've also been hugely upping the ante when it comes to strikes on civilian locations within the UAE.
I really do not understand. I can't understand why a British government, a UK government that it claims to be, would let this happen. Would really, I think the world has gone mad. I don't understand why we are not protecting the UK. We are not saying, no, we are at war. We have British soldiers out there near Iran, in Cyprus, all around. Why no one with common sense is turning around and saying, I'm sorry, but we cannot allow this.
Well, this is the thing, because, Peter, you know, I think legally it's very difficult because it opens up a can of worms when you start banning protest. But I sort of think to myself, you know, back in the Second World War, for instance, let's think about that. Back in the Second World War, was it ever the case that when we were fighting against the fascistic regime in Germany, that there were pro-Nazi rallies in London?
No, there weren't, no.
So why is this...
We were gifted a history and a legacy, and we just threw it in the bin. We don't care like we used to, and I think that is the real stain of what we've seen in these last few years, realistically, is we have such a proud history, such a strong tradition. We have the mother of parliaments, we have the common law. Everything was made here, realistically, and we just threw it away because we don't respect it.
And yet, you know what's going to happen here, because there are counter-protests which are going to pop up in opposition to the Al-Quds whatever it is.
Far right. Already.
And quite frankly, the counter-protests are the things that really need to be happening because it's disgusting that there's even 3 individuals in the UK who want to go and celebrate Al-Quds Day.
I just want to bring something up. I've just thought about a brainwave. Where is Me Too? Where are all these women organisations that have beaten this country down and told everybody they're sexist, everybody's a wrong, all this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
We have a literal regime that is shooting women in the eye, subjugating them, murdering them, and they are silent.
So much of all of this started off with the protests and the women inside Iran. It centres around the 3 words they're chanting on the streets of Tehran when they were going out and protesting the regime was women, life and freedom. Women. Yeah. And this is at the centre of all of this. And yet you know what's going to happen with this Al-Quds thing. They will have a big turnout right in the centre of London, and it will be the counter-protests which are pushed back as if they're the problem, as if they're the neo-Nazis, as if they're the fascists.
They'll be the ones that are kettled. They'll be the ones that are kind of, overly policed, and the Al-Quds thing won't be. You know exactly how this is going to play out, because you just have to look at Birmingham. You just have to look at the West Midlands Police and that entire thing. There was they literally said, we're going to hunt down Jews, basically, and the police went, OK, maybe we'll stop the Jews from coming.
Yeah, we're going to hunt down Jews
mentality.
with weapons.
To answer the question of the lady, the reason we don't do it, we're cowards. We have cowards as leaders.
But it's not, I think it goes deeper than that. I think because we have been, if you've had something bashed into you throughout your whole life, that speaking out against this is racist, it's Islamophobic, it's not about diversity, multiculturalism, our strength. When you've had this browbeaten into you, but not just that, to advance up the echelons of power, you've needed to bow down and tug your forelock to this stuff. You've needed to do the online course. You've needed to have your critical race theory assessment. You've needed to celebrate Diversity Day in the canteen. You've needed to, these things, in order to progress to the next levels of leadership, you've had to go through this system. You've had to go through the sort of brainwashing, being on that conveyor belt, that then once you get there, you've got sort of so many clueless apparatchiks whose sort of knee-jerk instant reaction is, oh, well, we mustn't ban that.
Yes.
We mustn't upset them. Because, to quote the favourite lines of all the Labour Party, it's the right thing to do. When normally it's the complete opposite.
Yes, I think you're absolutely bang on there, and I think it's paralysis as well. I think the state of the nation is in that bad that realistically there's not a lot we can do. Our economy is in the toilet. We don't have an armed forces. Our navy is an international embarrassment. We had to get the French to defend our navy. I mean, Nelson's spinning on top of that column at the minute. It is literally, this is what I'm saying, it is these bits of what were British have just gone out the window because we managed. We didn't lead.
Warships and frigates, 1950, we had about 280. Yeah. Today we've got fewer than 50.
We have more admirals than ships.
I thought we'd run out of admirals. I thought we didn't have any admirals.
I'm sure I read that the other day, that we have more admirals in
basically, we've got NAFL.
I mean, the prime one, and I go back to what Andrew said earlier, minesweepers. We had state-of-the-art ones. We got rid of them. Why?
It's so crazy.
Why?
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be pleased to know it is the final 2 questions of the quiz. And I don't quite know how we're going to do question 20, as it's a picture question. So we didn't think that one through. I could probably hold it up to the camera, but the picture question is too easy anyway. In fact, I'm going to turn it into a verbal question. But here we go. Hold on. Music.
Wheel of Fortune. No.
Big Break. I do know this.
Generation? No.
I love that we're just dancing to it.
I think is it not Wheel of Fortune?
Generation game.
Is it?
Play your cards.
Play your cards. You get nothing for a pair in this game.
Yeah.
Higher or lower than an 8. Higher or lower than an 8. Brucey. Here's a Brucey bonus.
Which England rugby lock, a Lancashire constabulary police officer, was nicknamed the Blackpool Tower? Which England rugby lock, a Lancashire constabulary police officer, was nicknamed the Blackpool Tower? This is clearly back when rugby was still amateur, not professional, when they all had their day jobs. So that's the name we want for this. And then there's a picture of a girt, fuzzy avian in the middle of what looks like a bit of a savannah. It says, endemic to Australia, which flightless bird is pictured? kind of looks a bit like an ostrich, but not. A smaller, fuzzier version with less boggly eyes. So there we go. Because I can't show
David
you.
Attenborough does not have to worry about his job going, does he?
The greater, fuzzier, lesser boggly-eyed, flightless bird of Australia.
On the savannah.
What is its name? What is its name? Okay, write those down and we will give you the answers and see who's got 20 from 20 just after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. So, first of all, let's get our housekeeping finished, which is the conclusions to the quiz. So, the final two questions of the quiz. Which England rugby lock, a Lancashire constabulary police officer, was nicknamed the Blackpool Tower?
Wade Dooley.
Did you know that?
Yes,
Look
I'm
at
from Lancashire.
Well, there you go. It was
and
indeed.
I'm a rugby guy.
It was indeed
Yeah.
Wade Dooley.
Yes.
Must have been a big guy. Well,
He was 6'8".
Blimmin' heck.
Yeah.
Although not as tall as Richie Gray, who was the lock for Scotland, who's 6'10".
Yeah, but think about it, in the north of England, that's very, very tall.
That's
But
big.
the north is smaller than the south.
Exactly. I mean, they've got Porridge north of Hadrian's Wall, so they just get bigger, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the bird,
This is the funniest.
the bird that is pictured that you can't see, which looks like a petite, fuzzier, less boggly-eyed ostrich that's endemic to Australia, is...
Emu.
It is the emu.
Do you know they nearly lost a war to the emus, Australia?
Really?
Yeah, I think it was it the 1950s or 60s where they tried to control the population because it was getting out of control. They nearly lost to the birds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the emu. I'm sure it was. Yeah, it was the 1900s, definitely. Yeah, the Great Emu War is what it's actually called.
So what have you got? What have you got finally out of 20? Peter Bond.
14.
That is good. Do you know when my family and I do this together, we normally score about 13 or 14.
Yeah.
That's 3 heads combined. You're pretty exceptionally good at this. And did anyone out there get all 20? If you did, we really want to know. Yeah. 0344
Yeah, we want to know where you are.
1000 is the number to call them back. I think if anyone calls up and thinks they've got all 20, I'm just not going to believe them.
I'm not.
I'm just
No.
going to be from a
No.
position of disbelief. But
Yeah.
you know, if you can prove it somehow, I don't know how. We want to see the receipts. 8722 if you want to text us as well. Put talk before you text. Right, let's go back to news because, you know, our eyes are now being drawn to conflict in the Middle East, but interrelated to this in many respects is the ongoing issue of porous borders in the United Kingdom, illegal immigration, because as we know, it is used to line the pockets of terror organisations. It is used by hostile regimes to destabilise and divide us as an act of grey zone warfare. And we have successively had impotent governments who are either unwilling or unable to do anything about this. And Lord knows who now is in our country. And actually, talking about that, Siobhan White, who's... So Siobhan White is the mother of Rhiannon, who was working at a migrant's hotel when, on her way to the train station, she was brutally, repeatedly stabbed by a Sudanese migrant called Deng Chol Marjek. He was allowed to remain in Britain after being refused asylum in Germany and Italy. It was a premeditated act of violence, multiple stabbing 27-year-old young woman who was a mother herself after stalking her from the asylum hotel. And Siobhan White, frankly, blames Sir Keir Starmer, saying, why was this man denied asylum but allowed here? Surely that should have been looked into. She was speaking to Parliament, having travelled from the West Midlands after an invitation by Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, and she's demanding ministers close borders to illegal migrants to prevent a repeat of what happened. Meanwhile, we've now learnt that asylum seekers can remain at the Epping Bell Hotel. The Court of Appeal rejected an attempt by Epping Forest District Council to overturn a High Court ruling that allowed asylum seekers to remain at the hotel in West Essex. And I was reading a piece earlier today all about what's going on down at an RAF base, a former RAF base near Braintree, where these men are taken onto the base. They're given 3 meals a day. They've got Wi-Fi. They've got, entities to entertain them. But they've also got vans which come and pick them up to take them to nearby towns to go hang out. And people in Braintree are saying they're blowing kisses through windows, they're harassing girls, they're taking photos of schoolgirls, they're following people home. And what do you expect a load of men from misogynistic cultures given regular away days in the local town centre to do? Ridiculous. Let's speak now to Norman Baker, who's a former Home Office Minister. Norman, this is getting beyond a problem now in this country, not just in terms of the security implications, not just in terms of the economic impact, not just in terms of destabilisation of our communities, but it's exposing to the world, isn't it, that the United Kingdom just has no way of essentially defending its territorial integrity. It doesn't know who's in the country, who knows who has come in, and yet on we go, still no solutions. I don't know how many prime ministers we've had since the first dinghy set sail across the channel, but people at home don't understand why things are not being done, why we're not seeing progress. As a former Home Office Minister, looking from the outside in, are you pulling out your hair in despair, or are you sympathetic to those people who have their hands on the levers of power, who seemingly are impotent against tackling this crisis?
My hair's already gone, I'm afraid, Alex, so that gives you the answer to that one. Look, I mean, this is a very difficult situation, and it's been made worse as a consequence of our withdrawal from the Dublin Agreement in this particular case, because when we're in the European Union, there was an agreement, which we have with European countries, whereby if one of them turned down an asylum claim, and then the person turned up in Britain, they could be shunted back to that country immediately without any further process. That's no longer the case. Siobhan White is quite right to suggest that it's illogical for someone to be turned down in Germany and Italy, and then to turn up in the UK and be granted permission to stay. And I've obviously got deep sympathy for her and the loss of her daughter in this horrific attack. So we do need to do far more. One of the things we need to do very quickly is to have a processing system which is far more efficient than the one we have. Under the Conservatives, there was a policy it was, during my time, of slowing down decision-making on asylum claims in order to make life uncomfortable while people were here. That's nonsensical policy. What we should have is a policy where you determine very quickly, ideally within a month, whether someone's genuine or not, and if they are genuine, they should be incorporated into society, made to work, paying taxes, and not be a burden on society, and integrate themselves. If they're not genuine, they can be returned to wherever they came from with due process very quickly.
This seems to me to be a bit of a problem. When we were in the Dublin Agreement, I think we only really sent back about 1 in 10 of those who, quite frankly, we should have been able to send back 100%. But this is where we, as the UK, we seem to enter into difficulties. Our approval rating seems to be far higher as a ratio than any other country. Speeding up the processing seems to me, anyway, and from the things I've read where you've had whistleblowers, to just mean that everyone is just sort of rubber stamped in order to just move them through the system quickly. There are blanket automatic right to remain over certain countries, countries where it's deemed, well, it's not safe to send people back there. It'd be interesting to know where Sudan is on that particular spectrum. And when it comes to deportations, well, we're just not doing allowing enough of them to keep pace with the amount of incoming. And then we've got this crazy situation, it seems, where the taxpayer funds multiple appeals against failed asylum applications, challenges to those judgments, challenges to deportations. In some instances, there are people having 4 appeals where the UK taxpayer is paying for these people to keep challenging the government and paying for the government to say, well, no, actually, we want our decision to hold. So it ends up making a mockery of the system. That, I mean, my concern about I agree with, speeding up processing is what we want to do, but that needs to result in saying no and getting people sent away again.
Well, I mean, look, the speeding up the process should not be a rubber stamp exercise. It should be a fair assessment as to whether an individual merits being allowed in the country or not. But it certainly should be given far more oomph and far more resources to that process than currently has been allowed. And I quite agree with you, there are far too many appeals appropriate. My view, personally, is if someone comes in and has refused access, you should be allowed 1 appeal, and that's it. And after that, they're removed from the country if necessary.
I sort of think, why any appeals? I kind of think that, you've come into the country illegally, you've put your argument forward of why you think you should be here. Everyone's looked at the evidence in front of them and said, actually, no. I don't understand why there needs to be any appeal whatsoever.
Well, there are appeals for everything. I mean, any event you've got which results in a decision against you in this country, you're entitled to appeal. And that's just a law, and we have appeals all the time. What we shouldn't have is multiple appeals, which is the point you're correctly making. We look at the numbers coming in, and I'm afraid part of this, I'm not excusing the government, because the government is a bit slow on the uptake on this, but the fact of the matter is there are a number of completely countries which are incapable of maintaining sort of social order and which are generating these movements. One of the largest groups of people coming in is from Iran. And I'm afraid that's going to get worse now because of what's happening in that particular country at the moment. So we have to try and find a way of dealing with the numbers which are coming in a way we haven't done so far. And the boat situation has got much worse over the last 10 years. Back in my time in the Home Office, there were fewer than 10 people a year coming in by boat. And even in 2018, it was 299. It's now 41,000.
Yeah.
So this has become a major increase, which wasn't there before. And actually, going back to the Dublin Agreement, the point you made about we only return 1 in 10. Yes, we should have returned more in those days. We didn't return more. But there was also a disincentive for people to come in the country because they knew that having been refused asylum elsewhere, they could be returned immediately upon entering the UK if the government had the will to do so.
Now, talking about disincentivizing people coming over here, it's a belief. I think a lot of people think it's probably true that to a young man in a poor country, that the opportunity to come stay in a 3-star hotel, have a phone, be able to work on the black market and potentially be paid to go home is quite nice as a little gap year. But it seems it's potentially a sort of semi-thought-through proposal to move people out of hotels in the heart of communities and into former military bases, which tend to be a little bit outside of those. But what I don't understand, and I wonder if you can cast some light on this, is a lot of military bases have secure perimeter fences. They have outdoor areas. They have to, for cadets to train, for soldiers to train. They've got facilities where people can eat, where they can be entertained. I don't understand why, then, there needs to be this provision of providing little buses to take undocumented male migrants into town centres to just hang out. Why are they not being kept on site? We don't know who these people are. Most of them have come in illegally. Why are we saying, oh, do you fancy a little day trip down to Braintree? No, if I was in charge of stuff, I'd say, right, you're in that military base, you're locked in there. Sorry, that's just the way it goes. You don't like it? Well, go home.
Well, I mean, not every military base is actually secure with a fence, and there's a protest at the moment in my part of the world for housing migrants and those who claim asylum at Crowborough in East Sussex, which is a military site, but is not secure in the way you describe. But look, I mean, we have to make sure we have people dealt with more quickly. I come back to that point. If you dealt with people quickly within a month, then you wouldn't have this accumulation of people in hotels and so on. And again, going back to the previous government, I have to say, I'm not excusing this government, but going back to the previous government, they actually had a policy of increasing the number of hotels. Robert Jenrick, who was the relevant minister, first thing he did when he came to power was to say he was going to ramp up, that's his words, ramp up the number of hotels that were in use. So we're having to now backtrack from that disastrous policy.
Norman, thank you ever so much for sharing your time and expertise with us. I mean, do you know, Peter, I just still think when you look at the protocol for a normal refugee camp in the world, it's a bit of canvas and a bowl of gruel if you're lucky. You get shelter, you get food, you get security, but you don't get smartphones, Wi-Fi, day trips, entertainment, you know, balloon shaping lessons. And the idea that you know, anyone sits there and thinks, well, the poor things, they need a bit of fresh air, let's take them into the town centre and just leave people.
Just leave, yes.
Do you think, you know, that this gives them the opportunity to abscond? To just disappear.
Because again, the numbers we have are the numbers of people that we know about.
Right.
That's the terrifying thing.
And I get that Norman says, well, not all military bases are perimeter fences, but it's not difficult to make a perimeter fence. For crying out loud, that could be done overnight.
Yeah, I have to admit, there is always I remember reading this when it got leaked from the Home Office, that if you lie, it is not held against your claim. If you're found to have lied, it is not allowed to be held against you. You don't have to answer all the questions. This is what I think why you were bang on, is saying the way in which we do the process is just as bad as the number of people coming.
I think, you know, people come in, shove them in a very secure facility with basic bunk beds and a bowl of gruel. That is it. Get them processed quickly, but doing it with an eye on actually trying to not approve things, rather than, oh, we should approve things. I think that's the big one.
We have an automatic yes, and it should be automatic no, and convince me.
Yeah, you really have to convince me.
Because I go back to the horrific case of this woman and her daughter. Apparently, it was a blood-curdling scream when she found out her mother wasn't coming home. That scream should have been heard. It should have shook the foundations of the establishment. It should be heard at Whitehall, Westminster, everywhere. And it was ignored. Absolutely. I think she's bang on to blame kids. Yeah, she's bang on.
Stephen Colchester said, why can't we defend our borders like Poland? They suspended asylum seekers and increased deportations. When you look at the big fences around Poland and people just trying to get under them, they're like, bam, they turn up, guns. That's how most countries defend their borders. It's mad what we're doing.
It is.
Right. Going to take a short break, guys, and then we're going to come back and just wrap it all up in some sort of beautiful way. We're going to pull all the loose ends together into a Gordian knot of delight before we bid you farewell. But that is not quite yet, so we'll see you just on the other side of this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, have you enjoyed that as our pilot episode?
I think it was really good fun, actually.
Yeah.
Also, I did like the fact that you were so surprised that I happen to know a lot of things.
Well, now you knew a lot of things, but I didn't know you knew everything from rugby players to... But you didn't know racehorses.
No, I didn't know racehorses.
But no, it was a good spread of...
I like a good quiz
of knowledge.
like that.
Yeah. So I think by and large that went okay.
I think it went okay, actually. Yeah.
Well, who knows how tomorrow's going to go? So we've completely reformatted that one as well.
Yeah.
This one's even more loosey-goosey. So a the first hour tomorrow is going to be the comedian Archie Manners. He's brilliant. We're going to be going through the papers. I don't quite know what this is going to involve because, you know, there's comedians, then there's Archie. Archie's like, you know, just a whole new category of human being.
Yes, definitely.
So that's going to be
I'm sticking around. I'm on with Mark in the morning, and I'm going to stick around just to watch.
Yeah, right.
It's like, pass the popcorn, what's going to happen now?
Exactly. So we've got Archie joining us in the first hour. We're then going to be speaking to Claire Coutinho, MP, who's the Shadow Energy Secretary. See, a spot of news in there somewhere, bit of sensible. We're then we're going to try a new feature as well, a getting to know you feature, where we do a sit-down half-hour chat with someone, and it's not a boring interview. It's not like, what do you think about this news story? It's kind of like the whole, like, you know, just about them, their life, their upbringing.
Yeah, it reminds me of This Is Your Life.
Kind of.
Or like a Parkinson
but
kind of
without
interview.
people from their life.
Yeah, do you recognise this
without
voice?
The red curtain. But no, just more like, who are you, basically? But what do you like? What goes on inside that head of yours?
Yeah.
So we're going to try and do that. And, you know, me being me, it's going to be a bit weird and offbeat. It's not going to be straightforward, is it?
No.
Tomorrow we've got Andrew Rossendale, the Reform MP now, is going to be our first victim in the hot seat. So that's something to look forward to. And then back by popular demand at 12 o'clock here in the studio.
Weird Hour.
Paul Cox and Weird Hour.
No.
Because that thing just invented
it took
itself.
off. It really did take off, I have to admit. I think it was the three-finger gins that may have helped.
I know, exactly.
Being honest.
And even the name Weird Hour just happened because we'd had tech failures and everything had gone wrong. The cameras weren't working. It's just mad. But Paul Cox and I are in here together. Nothing on the computer screen.
Worked.
No clips we could play. You know, we just couldn't do anything. So it just became weird.
Yeah, literally, you just got to talk.
Well, this is sort of like I think everything I do is Weird Hour.
Yeah.
It's just, it always becomes slightly weird.
Yeah, but it always works out. Like, it always kind of gets there, if you know what I mean.
It's an interesting cocktail, isn't it? When you're doing like Iranian protests and war.
We flick from issue to issue very easily.
Yeah. I mean, we did promise you, didn't we? It was the full English breakfast of madness.
When you say promise, we did warn. It was more of a warn.
We did flag up that there was going to be a whole way of doing things, which isn't the norm.
No.
I've got to read this before we go off air, because we actually kind of dropped the ball on niche museums.
Oh, we did, yes.
We did drop the ball on niche museums, and people have messaged me in, and I sort of messaged me in.
Yeah.
What was that?
It's almost as good as Romani.
Messaged me in? That's just disgusting. I don't know what I did there. But in Iceland, there is a phallological museum, mainly animals, but has some human examples as well. And casts of some celebrity members.
Yeah.
It's worth a trip to Iceland for that.
I mean, again, there's not a lot to do there, is there, if we're being honest. There's like a big volcano and that's about it.
The Spitfire Museum in Haverfordwest in Pembrokeshire sounds great. An espresso museum in Italy.
Right.
Love to hear it.
It's in the appropriate place.
And there's a sewing machine museum in Penmaenmawr.
I think I knew that. I think I knew